Thanks for joining us, man. It's good to
No
see
worries.
you.
Yeah, you
It's
too.
been a while.
Yeah, a long while, I would say.
But then all of a sudden, all I see on my social media is this podcast meme stuff. It just I couldn't escape it after a while. So
Yeah, it's a bit much, maybe.
explain to people who don't know what it is you do.
So basically, as a hobby, I used to just do drawings and sketchbooks of like comedians and stuff that I liked.
Yeah.
And then about last year, I was thinking, how can I do these easier and to get them online and like maybe get the attention of the comedian and see if they like it. And figured I could do it on my phone. So just
So before that, you were doing it traditionally, like on a
I was
computer
just
and
doing
software.
it on sketch stuff, and then I'd basically scan it in.
Right. Okay. So there's like you draw it, hand draw it, some of it.
Yeah. So
Right,
so
I see.
basically, I use my phone stylus, just a basic £1 stylus off eBay,
Right.
and just draw it through an app called Adobe Draw.
Right.
And it's just basically an offshoot of Illustrator, but for your phone. I can put it into Illustrator to do more things,
Right.
but normally I can just do them on Draw, whack them up on Instagram, and obviously there's a learning curve to being able to use it. If you go back on
Obviously.
to the first ones, they don't translate very well. They don't look.
We got to start somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it
yeah.
documents your progression, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I can look back and go, oh, some of the ones that I think are amazing, I've now looked back on and went, well, I could have done that better.
Well, that's
And then
natural.
I might end up doing it
Yeah,
better.
yeah.
So, but started putting them on Instagram, tagging the people
Yeah.
that were in the podcasts and stuff that they did.
Yeah.
They were getting shared. So I just thought I'll just keep doing this because I draw what I consume. So if I listen to a podcast, I'll draw
I
something
see.
from that.
That's a good idea.
episode, and then it means that I'm not hemmed into this is what I do. I can do
Keeps
whatever
it quite
I want. 'cause-
open.
Yeah. So if I listen to Ricky Gervais podcast, I'll do it about that, and then just put it up, and then hope it gets shared or whatever. And then I was getting quite a lot of shares from one specific podcast, which got me enough followers because there's like a community that like all the same podcasts. So you've got the Joe Rogan podcast,
Yeah.
The Fighter and the Kid, Joey Diaz's podcast,
Of course.
and then extras on top of that. There's Your Mum's House, there's
Yeah. Yeah.
all sorts, but they're all really similar and they all know each other. And it's the same with the fans. So I just started getting crossover shares, and then it became a thing of I can do all these and enjoy doing something,
Yeah.
and I was getting stuff back from it. Like I was getting to talk to the comedians and getting them to share my stuff, and then eventually send them some of my stuff, and that's basically where I'm at now. What I want to do is I've got more plans to make it more of a thing.
Yeah. Well, there's some people who that's all they do. Like I don't know who Joe Rogan uses, but a lot of even his stand-up gigs, every show has a poster that's done, like with the date and the venue on it by someone.
The collective that I'm in, which is called the Comedy Content Collective, which
Yeah.
is on Instagram, there's about 20 of us, I think. There's a couple in there that have done ones for Joe.
Yeah.
For comedy posters and
Because
stuff.
a lot of his are like an old movie poster that they've like put his
Yeah.
face on, like ET
main,
or something.
The main person that does that is a guy on Instagram called One by One Podcast, which is
I did come across that when I was doing my research.
So he does quite a lot for Joe as well, but I think mostly, which is good for artists, the comedians will go. They won't stick with one
Yeah.
specifically. They'll go. Oh,
Well, that's
I
better
I
because
fancy this style.
it might get a bit. You might get a bit boring or samey
Yeah.
if it's just all by one person.
What I found is the more popular the podcast, the less uniform it needs to be. So if you're starting out with a podcast, you want them to be quite uniform so people recognise that's that
Yeah.
podcast.
But once it gets to a certain level,
You don't need to worry about that at
it's like
all.
a game,
So
innit?
then you can just go mad with the designs and stuff like that. So
So you just keep doing stuff and throwing it out there anyway. And
yeah,
some of it gets picked up and
so I'm just every day I'm just posting. Every time I get to be on my phone, I'm just doing little doodles and stuff of ideas. If I'm ever out and about and I think of an idea, it gets written down, and then
Yeah.
when I'm free to do it, just little doodles. It's so weird that it's something that you don't really need to, if you're that way minded, you don't need to really put that much effort into it.
Yeah, because it just comes to you.
But the fun of it, that takes over. So you end up.
Some of them are hilarious, perhaps.
Some of them are very confusing to people. I've had a lot of people be like, I don't know what that.
Yeah, but if unless they listen to the podcast, then it makes perfect sense.
So
and
then
it's fucking hilarious.
I hook the audience in that watch the podcast, but then maybe.
Yeah, you could become like, if people see some of your stuff, they go, well, I'll check this podcast out because he's done.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
That's great. It's good for podcasting.
Well, yeah, 100%. There's one in Australia called the Refuge Chamber podcast that I think he was one of the first ones I did drawings for. It was like last year, and I don't know what you do for your podcast stuff. Do you ever advertise on other podcasts?
No. It's not. I mean, I would if the opportunity ever came up, but so far I've not really felt the need to.
He basically wants to like further his podcast, but help other podcasters.
Right.
So most of the stuff that he does, and I get tagged in it all the time now, is like it's very like positive energy and stuff like that, moving stuff forward. So I took that was one of my first experiences with podcasters in a that kind of environment, and I took that and thought, all right, I want to do that, but with my art. So then was speaking to other artists that were doing the same thing that I was doing, but just less. I'm a bit prolific.
Well, but you fire out quite a lot.
I'll do quite a lot.
Is that because the phone makes it easier to do it?
Yeah. I mean, I could think of one, just do it, and then I mean, it obviously does depend on what I'm drawing.
Yeah.
And how
Say average like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
For the like to get it to a level where you could show it to someone.
It's like layers. So if it's something for promotion, sometimes you don't need a background. It can be very simple. Whereas if it's something like a scene, I really want to get the funniness of the joke, or I'll need to like do a full background and then do the foreground and then do the shading and then
all on the phone.
All on the phone.
That's fucking crazy.
It's annoying. It can get annoying, especially when I first started. I didn't have the most decent. I didn't have top of the range phone.
What is it you use?
Now it's an S10 Plus.
Ah, right.
Which is
you need to update your bio then. It says S8. It says S8.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Right, okay, I'll have to change that. I haven't seen that. I've only just got that 2 weeks ago, though.
Ah, right. So is that even better then?
It is, but the problem with getting something new is that sometimes the apps aren't updated for the hardware. So I'm actually emailing.
Is it a different version of Android that it's running? Or is it just the software?
Not that. It's specifically the phone that they don't support at the moment.
It's too new.
I was like, oh, I'll get this. It's a bigger screen, it's a bigger memory.
Does it not? Does it just not work, or does some parts of it not work?
It's hard to explain. So, if I draw a line, it's just a black line, and that's it. And then take the stylus off. There's your black line, white background. Now, with the S10, as I start drawing, small grey squares appear around the black line, as if it's highlighted. But it actually covers some of what you're drawing, so it's hard to know where your line's meeting another line and stuff like that. But I just put up with it now. I've got used to it.
So it doesn't affect the actual drawing in the end. It just makes it a bit more difficult.
No, it just makes it. It takes me longer to do. That's all. But I'm happy to do that because I enjoy doing it. So
if you had to email the people who make the software,
well, Adobe, yeah. So I'm speaking with someone over there, trying to find out when they will support it. It doesn't matter if they do or don't, really.
Because the S10 only came out like back end of last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that and the Plus, yeah.
Is it the Plus you've got?
I've got the Plus, which is obviously a bit bigger for more screen real estate. Yeah.
Eventually, it'll just be like, I've got my phone is a tablet.
Well, I've got a Microsoft Surface Go.
Ah, right.
Which is like probably the size of a small TV.
Yeah.
And obviously the bigger ones are like table size. That's what I want to aim for.
So have you tried? Have you used the Surface?
Yeah, I use Illustrator on that, and I use it for some things, but it's a lot more complicated. So on the phone, you don't really have to plan the drawing as much. You can it's easy enough to just undo a whole shape if it's not working from that perspective and just redraw it. Whereas in Illustrator, because of all the different things that you can do, there's so much more you can do. You've got to plan everything more, or else you might get a few steps ahead and not be able to undo enough and I'm not as comfortable using Illustrator as I am on my phone, because I didn't.
But you've got to use whatever works best for you, haven't you?
Exactly. I know people that use Illustrator all the time. They have the tablets that you draw that are like, it's like a pen and a tablet, but you don't see it. It goes on the screen.
On the screen.
In 2Q or something.
Yeah. Isn't there a little bit? I remember seeing there's a bit of a delay sometimes with that, though. A bit of latency.
It depends which one you get. But you get used to it.
I suppose you just get used to it. Yeah.
But that's what I kind of want to go into. It's just, I think you kind of have to build from somewhere. I don't want to just get a load of stuff, start, and then find out that it's a bit too difficult.
But in a way, the fact that you do it on your phone makes you unique.
Yeah, well, yeah. There is other people that are doing it.
I'm sure there is, but you know what I mean? Rather than just,
not as much as me.
Yeah, but just most people would do stuff like that on a PC in full software suite.
Or Paint.
Paint Shop Pro or...
yeah, I've heard of that one.
What are the other ones? Photoshop. I'm using the Photoshop.
Yeah,
I've used Photoshop Steve.
Right, yeah.
Do you know him?
Yes. Well, I've spoke to... This is the thing. All the people that... When I used to listen to Joe Rogan, you hear about these characters, don't you? And then if you're looking on Instagram and the comedians are sharing the stuff, and you get to know these characters. And now I have actually spoke to some of them, and it's like so weird going from doing nothing to then suddenly
being regular contact with these people,
knowing folk that are actually behind the scenes of certain
things. Who's the
things.
guy who does the short videos of clips? Is it Paulie Troon? Have you seen that? Is it
Paleotunes or Polytune?
I thought it was Troon. He does he'll animate the clips.
Versions.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes, he does the Joe Rogan ones with like
Joey Diaz.
Yeah. There's some really good ones like that. Really good ones.
It's blue cheese. I'll go fuck your mother.
Exactly.
It's like they've got T-shirts and everything now. Oh, did you some of your stuff on a T-shirt?
Well, yeah.
The Fighter and the Kid thing.
Yeah. So basically, what happened there was a fan wanted one to go to one of Brian Callen's shows and be like, "Oh, look, I've got some art on." So I just made him it and sent him it, and then he took it to the show, got a picture with him and stuff. It's a lot of it is just like you're just basically doing a hobby, and it's fan art. And then if it goes somewhere, it might
could be somewhere. A job.
I want it to be a job. By the end of the year, it will be. I think that's the way I'm moving.
So you commissioning just not everyday podcasts? People asking you to do
artwork? At the
artwork?
moment, I'm just hobbying. It's just hobbying.
But
stuff.
Have you had people ask you to do stuff for them?
Yes, but most of the time, if it's a big paid job, I just say no, because it's a lot of work,
right,
to commit to something. Whereas I'd rather work with smaller podcasts.
Yeah, that's also what I meant, though.
Just
like if someone who had a small podcast said,
"Oh, I've basically I'm sponsoring."
That's what I meant, really.
I'm sponsoring 2 at the moment. So there's Where I Belong podcast and the JB podcast, and basically I do when they ask, as and when I'll do some art for them, and I've done their merch. So they've got their merch stores is basically just a hoodie with a design that I've done for them. Yeah. And one's in America. So Where I Belong, he was based in New Jersey, but he's just moved to Vegas. So he's a lot of the people that I'm speaking to and in contact with are over in the US. So time zones, everything, it can get a bit complicated.
Seems like you've got a bit more of a connection over there than you have here.
100%, yeah.
But podcasts are more popular over there, I suppose, and there's more people.
I think there's something with British humour, I don't know, or British comedy, where people they're not bothered about the community around it. It's more about
the actual product,
the thing itself.
Yeah. It's like that with bands as well.
Yeah, true.
But
true.
Yeah, there's 370 million people in America, and podcasts are huge over there. The percentage of listeners over there is far greater than here.
Most of the people that I know that do stuff like this and listen and have the time to listen to as many podcasts, because obviously it's
a lifestyle thing, isn't it?
It's about 50 a week people get through. They just turn the speed to 1.5.
Yeah, that was something I only discovered last week. The fact that I use an app called Podcast Addict.
That's what I use,
and it's had that built in for years, and I didn't
Just
know. I
haven't
didn't even know it was a thing until someone mentioned it on a podcast. He goes, "Oh, I have too many, and I don't have enough time, so I just listen to 1.5 times." And I was like, "You can speed them up."
Some people speed it up even more.
I know. If it's too,
can't.
for me personally, if it's too fast, I can't take in what they're talking about.
Exactly. But some people do it.
1.2 is as fast as I
listen
can.
to it.
1.1 or 1.2 usually. If the longer it is, the more it cuts it off. So if it's like an hour, that takes it down to about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to get as many in a week as you can. I've had to have a cull. I was nearly 200 subscribed to 200 podcasts, and I was like, I've only got a certain amount of hours in the week that I can listen to it. I happen to just be ruthless and just cut down. Because even with I'm 130 now, and there's still only about, I would say, 10 to maybe 15 a week that put out new episodes that I've got time to listen to.
Yeah.
So
are yours? A lot of yours music based ones? Or?
No, a variety. Some of them are. Some technology ones, some gaming ones I listen to.
Yeah.
Just general conversation ones as well. When did you start listening to podcasts?
Probably
2009.
Since the Ricky Gervais ones, the ones that he did with XFM or whatever it was at the time with Carl. Yeah, the
ones that became animated later.
Yes,
because I didn't even know about the Ricky Gervais podcast until there was the Ricky Gervais show that was animated.
So you watched the show and then
I never knew.
There's a podcast I can listen to.
Yeah, but I didn't. I just watched the animated ones because I thought that was hilarious.
Easy, yeah.
In fact, I discovered it last year when we had a puppy who was up at stupid o'clock, like 5 o'clock in the morning in this last summer. So I was up, so I was just watching it while the puppy was just like sleeping or eating or whatever.
Perfect.
Or shitting everywhere.
They usually just shit and piss.
But it was trying like not to laugh really loud because it was hilarious. Some of the stuff that Carl Pilkington comes out. I've started watching reaction videos.
Real, do you think he's real?
What do you mean? Do I think he's real?
Like, do you not think it could be an act?
No, I think he's put too much stuff out there, and I've seen him in too many different situations to know that he's not. It's not. Well,
that's a conspiracy that's going out there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that was a thing. That's interesting.
If
it is, it's very good. If he's actually really intelligent and well read.
I'd love to see like a clip of him pretending to do that.
Like off camera, like he doesn't know he's being recorded.
Yeah, we'll make a fake one just to push the conspiracy a little bit further.
I think he should definitely do that. He probably couldn't if he tried.
No, I don't think he's got much range when it comes to.
But that was a complete accident. All that stuff, wasn't it? Because he was the producer on their show
or something. Yeah, he did something.
He ended up being the producer of their show randomly because the one left or something, and he'd been there a while, so he was the next natural choice. And then they just started going, "What did he just say?
You're odd.
Say that again."
We need to record.
Then he just became part of the show, and then after that, the rest is history.
Exactly.
So, what was? Can you remember how long ago the first piece of artwork that you did was, or what it was?
Maybe only 10 months ago, like proper, because I was doing pieces of like friends and stuff at first to practice,
right. Like sort of characterizing them.
Yeah, so I'd just be like, right, this person's doing this.
So where did that come from?
And then just from like,
I've always been sort of into art and creative stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I did at university. I did a weird degree called multimedia design.
A weird degree.
Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't exist anymore. It's called multimedia design and digital animation. So it was ranging on so many things like 3D stuff to do with gaming, animation itself, 2D animation, art, website building, stuff like that. And then after that, for like 10 years, I didn't do any of that. I would just be sketching in sketchbooks.
Right, yeah.
And then when I realised I could do the drawings on my phone, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can get back into this. Because it's like with the singing and doing bands and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go out of it and then you come back and then you go over it and then you come back. And so that was me coming back to it. And then I just realised, oh, this could be a thing. I'm really enjoying it. Most people don't do something that they enjoy.
Yeah.
So at least I've got an outlet for my creativity in that way. Yep. So I just started drawing my friends and stuff, and was watching, obviously listening to the podcast anyways.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh,
I'll try them.
I'll just do this.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Because you can just listen. Whilst I'm listening,
what you're listening, it puts images in your head, doesn't it? Sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see a joke or a bit or a story in a certain way.
You can bring that to life in a picture,
I can translate in the picture. Now there are other people that do that. There's people that do that for the actual podcast.
But your interpretation of it could, something different.
Mine is always different. I'm a little bit weird when it comes to my drawings. The ones that I put online are not as weird as the ones that I have to go, I can't put that out.
When you get really famous, those ones will be behind your paywall.
On my
people pay for the
private
weird
Snapchat.
shit.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people put stuff up that's like with nudity in, and I'm too scared to put mine that have actual nudity in because Instagram is so ruthless at the moment.
Yeah, it's a bit risky that though. It'd have to be censored, which would maybe not make it how you meant it to be.
No, you want it raw. If it's something like that,
you can censor it and make it funny. Like the censor is what makes it funny.
I've done that with some. I did one. You know when Adam Levine did some awards thing and he had his top off.
No.
Okay, so Adam Levine from Maroon 5 was he was doing a concert at some award show. Oh, maybe it was the Super Bowl actually.
Right.
And it was.
If you're going to take your top off, the Super Bowl halftime is the place to fucking do it.
He took his top off, ripped, absolutely ripped, all the tattoos.
I'd probably take my top off if I was.
I mean, he's got enough money to.
Yeah, true. He needed a bit more fame.
So and there was actually quite a few complaints. It was a big controversy at the time, and I saw that and thought I need to do a drawing.
Yeah.
So I did a reverse. So I put a t-shirt on him, and then I took his bottoms off. So
there was dangly bits hanging out.
Yeah. So then I had a not safe for work version, and then was not safe for Insta version, and then the one I actually put up, which I did a little blurry thing around the area. You can definitely tell he's got a piece, but you can't quite see the eye of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after that, I thought it was quite a good, funny concept. And it was around Sober October, where Joe and Bert and
do their
Tom
challenge.
and Ari do the challenge. So I changed it. I made it into Bert Kriescher because normally he takes his top off to do his comedy.
He takes his top off at everything.
So I reversed him as well.
Right.
And had him with his bits out, but with the same tattoos in the same style. So it like mashed the Maroon 5 side of the meme and then Bert Kreischer as the meme as well. I think that's one of the things that solidifies the art community on Instagram is events like that. Sober October was perfect.
Yeah, because there was so much going on to it.
Everyone was just doing content constantly.
That's what I was going to say.
Every day.
That whole podcast that they just did about the whole...
Yeah.
That was like 3.5 hours of my life, and they still haven't decided what they're fucking going to do.
They did that last time.
What a waste of time.
I mean, I really want them to do the hip-hop dance stuff.
I don't think that's going to happen. Joe Rogan does not seem up for that.
Why does he get to be the arbiter of their challenge?
I know,
You know what I mean?
I know. But it should be something that they all have to... Unless all 5 of them or 4 of them agree, then
Yeah, true.
it's not going to happen. I don't think.
Maybe Ari could, convince him.
I don't know why.
Guilt him.
I don't know why Bert's the leader on it, because he's probably the least. He's probably going to lose.
It's almost as if he sets himself
Yeah,
up to lose.
I think that.
But it's funny, which is what the comedian. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
And obviously, the nature of doing something like that is actually quite pure and good.
Yeah, it's always like, I think they should always give up alcohol and probably drugs, smoking weed for
Every
a month,
time,
plus a challenge on top of it.
Now, the social media side of it, would that affect you if you had to do it? So Ari's suggestion was
cut out social media.
like your phone.
Yeah.
No phone, just a basic phone.
If my show or
Could
what
you
I
do
was
it?
doing was at that level, you'd still have to have someone maybe do the
You'd have an
do the
assistant,
stuff
yeah.
for the show, because if you're still putting content out in that whole month, you can't take a month off your work.
Ari did.
Yeah, but that's Ari. He just went off. He just went off traveling for like 4 months.
He just goes and does whatever he wants.
Didn't even tell anyone where he was going.
It's a good. It's like I'm jealous of that behavior of being
yeah,
able
yeah.
to just go. I'm going to sell all my stuff in my flat. Anyone wants it? Come round now.
Even
That's
now,
literally what he did.
even
and then just
now,
go.
he doesn't have much. Like
He doesn't need it, does he?
He's one of those people who doesn't. He doesn't value stuff. Like, it's just stuff at the end of the day.
I could have
He's
that
got money.
mindset.
He's a very successful stand-up comedian. He makes loads of money, very well paid, at the top of his game, but he doesn't have stuff.
I think you find that with quite a lot of people that are really, really into the craft.
You get both. You get people who
Yeah,
just
that
they
you'll
just
get the
buy.
flasher
They got
side.
money, so they just buy
Well,
loads of stuff.
That's probably Bert.
But
likes
yeah,
to
yeah.
Be a bit flash for a laugh.
But then other people Well, Harry's a bit different though. He's not. He's not your typical person.
No, he's certainly different.
Eccentric.
But I think that's what makes his comedy good.
I always remember once he told a story on the Joe Rogan podcast about how after 9/11, when they became really strict with all airport security, he took offence to the fact that they were doing the job basically. Like, no, I'm not gonna put my keys in a tray, or I'm not gonna take my pants off or my shoes off. They're just doing their job.
Don't accuse me.
And I was like, well, what do you want? Do you want a safe country, or do you want to take your pants off?
I'm trying to think. I'd probably want to take my pants off.
Yeah, it's like they're just doing their job. You can't complain about stuff like that and then not follow the rules. But you see,
he wants
that's
to be able
him.
to just wander the earth, though.
Yeah,
Like,
free.
no passports, none of that. He just wants to wake up. Be like, oh, what am I going to do today? I'll go in. No, I won't shower. Actually, give me a leaf.
Yeah, and I won't wear any shoes. I won't wear shoes today.
Wipe a leaf. Just wipe himself with a leaf. Be fully naked, and then just walk to the I'm just going to walk to the watering hole this morning. I may see a female, and I'll just jump on her because that's what we do in the wild. I think that's what he.
Yeah, he
that's
would.
what he would do.
So you could do like famous moments in films, or
I
or a
brought some
comedian.
today. I brought some today for you.
Have you?
Yeah. So I've got about 50
Right.
prints of
prints?
of films. Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
I've got them in my bag for you.
Wow, he's come prepared. I wondered what was in the bag. Last time someone brought a bag.
A body.
Last time someone brought a bag, it was full of alcohol
Yeah.
and a Christmas tree, a little Christmas tree. That was a gift, which lasted 9 months. Then it died.
I had too much alcohol this weekend, so I thought I'll bring art instead.
I like art.
So I did a film series. So basically, every other photo, I did a film, and I did it in a certain way where there's like text in the background, and then
Like a scene from a film, or like the poster for the film or something.
I tried to do individual things depending on what film it was.
Ah, right.
So I'll pass them over to you for the audio listeners. I did that really smoothly.
Yep, that is cool.
So basically,
So it depends whether you've seen the film. That's what I've seen in Step Brothers. I watched that not so long ago.
I'd basically find. It got to the point where I'd find films. So I would like.
Put him on the main screen.
I would Google.
Oh yeah.
I would Google like best films or one of. I did start off with horror ones, so there is a lot in there where it'll be maybe a bit brutal. There we go, Indiana for you
Indiana Jones.
fans out there. And
For the audio listeners, you're going to have to go on YouTube. If you've resisted, now is the time. Bloody hell, that's good.
And then I printed them all out. And basically, if you put them all together, they become one whole piece.
Oh, I did see that. Did you put a picture of that online?
Yes, with my dog next to it, because
Yep.
she loves my art.
Wow,
Dogs
that
love
is cool.
art. They love art.
Dogs. That is awesome. There's too many of these to get. I'll be here all day doing
there's
these, but
loads,
these
there's
are
loads,
these are
but
brilliant.
They're yours anyways.
You're giving me these?
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome.
There is some more, I think.
Gonna have to put these around some of these around the studio. The best ones are around the studio. Oh, that's good. Predator. Look at this on the camera.
There's a good one for you to get you struck off YouTube. Human centipede.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, let's definitely not do that. Wow.
Yeah, there's some more.
These are amazing.
But
this is the
sometimes
first.
I'll do memes as well. So
Of
like
course, of course.
I don't know if you've seen this guy. I'm holding up a print that I've done of the guy that says Jesus Christ. Have you ever heard of him?
No,
I
don't
should
think
be
so.
able to say Jesus Christ and you would know who he is. He's basically
I've heard of Jesus Christ. Yes, I'm aware of his work.
he's basically an ex-convict who's really into God, and he's got a few viral videos out where he screams Jesus Christ, and then he like does this little body popping thing to
Right.
some music, and that's it. That's simply it. But he's amazing. I just needed to tell you about him. I've got to spread the word of Jesus Christ.
These are brilliant.
Okay. But yeah, so with most of my work, it is irreverent stuff that
Oh, yeah. See, all this stuff gives you loads of options.
Oh, yeah, well,
You're never gonna end up going down like repeating yourself, basically.
No, the way I
Unless
see it
someone
is
asks you to.
I can do whatever anyone can think of, and usually if they've got an idea, I'll normally take a bit of a liberty and make it even weirder, because that's just what I'm like. But I did. I was requested by my now wife to do Harry Potter one, so I had to do that.
Oh, my missus absolutely loves Harry Potter, so
I had to do the whole film set.
That sounds great.
So they're in my living room, all up and framed. Big Hazza P.
yeah.
Shout out
He's,
to Hazza P.
Tech, before we go, don't let me go without putting these all on the table. I'm gonna take a photo.
I'll forget.
So we'll both forget. We're fucking useless.
Oh. But
That is incredible. Thank you very much.
no worries. But yeah, so yeah, like you say, I can do anyone that's an artist can do it, but it just depends like how you see what you can do and whether you can marry those two things, what's in your head, to what you're doing on either the piece of paper or the screen or whatever.
On average, how long would one of them take?
Those ones just a couple of hours to do, really.
Wow.
It all depends on the shading and what kind of scene I want to do, because obviously I'll do the text and then I'll do the front bit, which will be a scene. So it's basically the name of the film behind, and then in front would be a scene. Picking a scene from a film is really annoying, because there's especially when you love the film, there's so many good moments.
Yeah.
You kind of have to think outside the box. If I want something,
Get to the chopper.
you could do that. But then that's such a good moment though that I would not do it, because if there's another artist that's doing
probably
film
done.
stuff, they may do it. So that's why I
It's
chose some
It's a
weird.
fine balance, isn't it? Like you could also do like
I usually
like
choose
a
death
comedian.
scenes.
If a comedian has a funny a punch comes up with a punchline, or like you could have done. You know, like I've noticed online sometimes websites pop up in the middle of nowhere, advertised, selling T-shirts of things that are current now. Like
Yes.
they're trying to cash in on whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like you could have been the first to have if this was 20 years ago, you could have had garlic bread on a T-shirt. You know what I mean? That's that sort of level.
That would have been perfect.
Because
might
certain
just do that
comedians,
anyways.
yeah, you could do.
I think enough people know that.
Yeah, because there's certain comedians that are at a certain level where they have certain jokes that just don't go
Just
away.
one-liners that
Like
that
people actually,
blue
20 years
cheese
later,
thing.
are actually asking them to tell a joke that they've probably heard 1,000 times.
And as you know from listening to the podcast, most comedians hate that.
Yeah, that's the last thing they want to do. Like it's like a band when someone shouts out maybe an old song that they don't play anymore.
Yes.
They shout out
It's
jokes.
exactly like that.
But comedy and music opposite. Like everyone wants to hear the same songs. I want to hear this song. I want to. But like, if you went to a comedy show, I want to hear this joke. I want to hear this joke. That's not going to happen.
It obviously depends on the comedian, but yeah, you're right. There is like we've mentioned Bert Kriescher before, and he's got that Russia story,
Yeah, the machine
the
story.
machine story.
Yeah,
He always closes with that most of the time.
yeah, and rightly
because
so.
because it's that it went that far, and it's a smart way of doing it. That's why he's doing it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he's intelligent
At the end,
and he
definitely.
knows that's a story that's going to kill it, and also it's part of his brand now.
Yeah, it's like when Lee Evans used to do Bohemian Rhapsody. Have you seen the
Yeah, at the
performance
end,
thing he
yeah,
did to
I've
Bohemian
got-
Rhapsody?
yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Like he just did that as a sort of experiment, I don't know.
I didn't even know
yeah,
that he could sing.
No, he's a brilliant musician.
Mm.
All the music you've ever heard for anything he's ever done, he's done all himself.
It's so weird that people that you know for one thing have talents in other things. It's weird. It's
Yeah,
like seeing
he's
a teacher at the
multi-talented.
shops. On it, like, oh, they've got a life. Oh my god, it's like an extra hidden talent or something.
Most people do. This is what we're going back to about people not following like a passion, or they just do their job. And they sort of this other stuff gets suppressed by like I don't know. A missus tell you, don't stop wasting your time with that bollocks.
What are you drawing on the box
Just
for?
stick to going to the job that you hate and paying the bills. Just be miserable.
You
Go on.
go to work and stop sitting in that bath drawing pictures of your own penis, please. That's just a hypothetical. That's not a
And then,
conversation.
and then there's the line that all husbands and boyfriends. Yes, but this could pay the bills one day. Yeah, of course it could. Yeah. But
I used to say that about gaming, like free streaming and stuff like that.
some people do.
They do,
But as time goes on, more and more people do it. It's a crowded market.
and you've got to be doing it all
You've
the
got
time.
to do it a
and-
lot. It's the same with most things. It's what was like our last one, our episode that comes out tomorrow with Darren Horn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a side hustle,
Right.
but for some people it has the potential to become their main thing. but there's that balance of you've still got to work to pay. Not at no point
Yes.
can you stop being able to pay your bills.
Exactly.
So it's that fine line between I've got to you got to walk between. Sometimes if there's potential in it, you have to just give it that extra bit of time, even though you might not be doing other stuff that you should be doing, but it could just work out.
It's like splitting your attention, though, doesn't always have to mean splitting your energy for that.
No.
So I keep a lot of energy for doing my artwork, and I waste it on that because that's what I enjoy doing. But a lot of artists that I speak to online that are in the collective even, they don't have the capacity to do that because they'll work 12 hours in a factory or something like
Yeah.
for instance, and then
They've
feel
got
like-
kids, and
well, yeah, kids, family at home, and then they don't have the time to put their energy into that. And when they do it well. But who has the time? Who has the time to be able to, at the drop of a hat, do something for a comedian?
Well,
that's
that's
what
it.
you have to be able to do to in the circle that I'm in, to be able to succeed. You need to be able to be awake at all hours, just in case you get a message.
well,
off
especially if half your
Bert
clientele's in
Kriescher.
America.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what happens mostly. You'll get a message off Bert Kriescher saying, I need something from a show.
At 4 a.m.
Sometimes it can be like that. We had one today for a comedian's birthday, and it's his birthday today, and he's asked for it today. So then it's like, who's free to do it?
But yeah, your advantage is this way: you're ahead of them.
Yeah.
So
No. Yes and no, because the way comedians
it's
work,
later in your day, but in them it's early in their day.
yes, but the way comedians work is early in their days in bed.
Yeah, comedians get up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, don't they?
Exactly.
Have you got
So-
something like now?
I'll get messages from when it's 3 a.m. for them
Yeah,
to me at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning
yeah.
and stuff like that. I normally wake up to messages.
Right.
There's recently
Comedians drunk in the middle of the night just sending you
Well, yeah.
shit,
After
random
sex.
requests.
sometimes you can't understand what they said, and you're like, right, this is a really big comedian and I really respect them, but I'm gonna actually have to ask them to repeat themselves. Can you please put that more coherently? And recently I did one for a comedian called Sam Tripoli, who's got
Yeah.
a conspiracies podcast.
Yeah.
And they've just been done a live show, and they put it up behind them as like a big thing. And that was literally for me in the morning waking up.
So it was
being
something you
t-
did,
being
it was
t-
behind them.
Yeah.
That's
so,
awesome.
So I've done quite a lot. Well, quite a lot is relative, isn't it? But I've done a few bits and bobs for him and for the podcast. And I know the artist that does the official stuff for their podcast. That's what usually happens.
Yeah.
You get shared, you get maybe a little bit of attention from them, but through them you meet the producer, you meet the editor, like just
Yeah.
speaking through different people, and then I normally end up just being mates with the artist rather than the people that are right next to a podcast, because I always think,
Well, they want direct connection to the person who does it, probably,
Yeah.
rather than going through all these other people
yeah,
who convolute the whole process.
and it can be really convoluted. I don't think Joe's is, because it's basically him and Jamie.
Yeah, they run the whole show.
So, but with some others, you've got tech, maybe like an assistant that's on the podcast with them,
Yeah.
able to like Google stuff, but that's separate from an assistant that also runs the socials.
Yeah.
And then they've got an artist, and then they've got an agent.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, who am I?
Who do you contact?
Yeah, who's top? You kind of want to speak to someone at the top of the ladder, but you don't know who's at the top of the
No.
ladder. So you just
Depends on the person,
you
doesn't
just
it?
chat and hope. for fingers
If
crossed.
the person wants stuff done quicker, then they should have more direct access. Otherwise,
True. And with me, I've been quite good at turnarounds for certain things, for important things. But there are times where you get messages and you go, no, I can't do that. And it's like a really big opportunity. I got an opportunity to do an animation, and I just had to say no, because it was just...
do you do animation?
I can do animation,
Right.
but I don't regularly do it, so I'm not like...
You couldn't
so
fire out at the
versed.
level that you do for the
No,
art in
and
general.
that confuses me and frustrates me, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist with that. So
But you'd be using different software and stuff for that, though. Is it stuff that you're not as...
the way I do
good
it
at?
is I draw, even though it's easier to draw in the program you're animating, those types of programs aren't always the best to use. And because I'm using my phone, the apps that you would animate with, they're not as sophisticated as the ones
Right.
so it would be a process of, do I go on the computer and spend hours and hours
You probably have to.
on a animation that's going to be 5 seconds, or do I do it on my phone, which will take like 10 times less the time and suffer the quality going down?
End of the day, the quality is key. And if you can't do it, then you've got to say no.
I've managed to do a few on my phone that have been decent,
Right.
but it's just been for like, I don't know what you do with your editing, but like, say if you were going from one scene to another, like a transition, so it would be like a logo spinning, or one of them was Bobby Lee lifting his leg and farting, and then a bat coming out of his fart and then flying towards the screen, like stuff like that could be used as like a quick transition in a podcast, or maybe looped for an intro or an outro where you're going to put your socials on. I can do easily. It's just the stuff that you were talking about, the polytunes thing.
Yeah, that takes time.
That is a lot of time.
Some of them are like 5 minutes, but I know myself that
30
that'd take a long
seconds can
time.
sometimes take you days or weeks. It all depends on how complicated it is and
Depends on what software you're using.
and how good you are at planning it.
Yeah.
If someone says, I want an animation of me throwing a ball, there's a million ways you could do that, but you've got to be good enough to know what's the
A good workflow.
shortest way. Yeah, exactly. What's the shortest way I can get from where I am now to having that animation with it being streamlined, efficient, so that it doesn't take away from other projects that you're doing.
Even that I might be getting his name wrong, but I'm sure if it's Paulie Troon, he only puts out maybe one a month, which that probably tells you.
There's a guy, Bleach Media. I don't know if you've seen his stuff. He does
probably.
the bobbleheads
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
for loads of the podcasts. Christie Baird podcast, he's done some for, mostly done stuff for his.
Yep.
But he puts everyone in them, and he's done Joe Rogan ones, he's done all sorts of ones, and he's got a lot of followers now, and he's doing really well. I know Andrew through we all started doing the same work in last sober October, and that's how we got the collective together. A guy called Chase Lepard, he basically got us all in a group and was like, hey guys, we're all doing the same content for the same stuff. It's sober October, let's use this as a platform to like chat through ideas and help each other with ideas.
Cool.
So if I'm doing something with Joey Diaz in, and it's a blue cheese, I go fucking mother.
Yeah.
I can put my early version in and say, do you think there's anything else that I could put in here? Or
That's a good idea.
And so then I've got peers that in my eyes are a lot better and a lot more versed.
Well,
in
it's not just that.
side.
You all think similar.
Similar, and then so you're getting
Someone
another
might
person's
think of
point of
something you
view as
wouldn't have
well.
thought of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
then you end up with a fuller piece by the end of it.
That's cool.
And we started off, it was just me. It was really weird because obviously we didn't know anyone that was female that was doing it.
Right.
So it felt really weird. Someone
I
just
hadn't
was
even
like,
thought of that.
there's like 10 men in here, and we're just like making jokes. It was
You
just
need a
like,
different perspective.
Yeah, I think we need to get a bit more diverse. But through doing more stuff and meeting more stuff, we've got.
Are there as many women doing it?
Not that I can see, and not that are doing it. You can find someone who's doing something like that, but they just want to do it on their own. They just want. They don't want to be
right,
part
yeah.
of anything else.
Yeah.
They'll reply to your DMs and chat to you, and you'll get to know them, and they're really cool. But they just don't want to be in that kind of group
The community.
atmosphere where it's like, because I don't know how many group chats would you say you have on your phone?
Between Facebook and WhatsApp, a lot. Probably.
So
I don't know how many.
So it's like constant ping, 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 ping.
I've muted most of mine.
And, well, that's the thing. So what's the point in being in it if you need to mute it? You need to be in it if there's a very specific reason you need to be in it. Now with the art stuff, some people just don't need to be in it. They've got their own ideas. They're happy just doing their own thing. So they just go their way. But the way we've got it, we've got animators.
What's the website?
Photoshoppers, comedycontentcollective.com.
Right. That's good.
So we've got artists, photoshoppers, people that do memes,
That's
people
good,
that do
'cause
videos.
Got everything covered.
Voiceovers. We've got a guy that does
Awesome.
any impression. Like I had a podcast called Algorithms. We did 2 episodes. It was more of like a test for the Comedy Content Collective,
Right.
to try and see if that format would work. So we did 2 episodes, and he sent, like, we asked him to do some voiceovers for the intros. And we're expecting like a couple of voices or whatever, and he just sent like 30 different,
your
like
pick.
Deadpool, Al Pacino, like all, and saying the same thing just for the intro of the
different
podcast.
voices.
And I could just then animate a small thing of Al Pacino or Deadpool, which I did for those 2 episodes. And so he does a lot of the voiceover stuff. Technically, we've got enough people in there, more than enough, to be an art house or a studio.
Yeah, start some company.
And start doing our own stuff. But we're all doing our own separate things.
You'd all have to make a commitment to it, wouldn't you?
Not only that, I'm over in the UK.
Are you the only one over here, and they're all in the US?
Yeah. So and they're spread.
Yeah, but that could still work.
They're spread as well. So you've
Your
got,
workflow still could get passed back and forth, is the way it always has
100%.
done.
But you do feel a little bit left out.
A bit disconnected.
Yeah. I mean, I can still. It makes me feel better because I can still make them laugh. So that's good. So the humour's still there.
But you're British though, so you're probably seen more of it as an asset because you're different sense of humour, different perspective on a lot of things.
I mean, that's probably the only time I've ever been called an asset. Thank you.
Well, I would say so. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing if you weren't.
Well, exactly. But there's a few podcasters in there as well. So that's how I've been on podcasts before. It's been on their podcast, and then I've been seen on that podcast. So someone's went, "Oh, you go on podcasts, so come on my podcast."
Right, yeah.
So that's how
I
previously
looked a
I've
few
been
of them
on
up that you're on.
Some are a bit weird and irreverent.
Well, yeah.
And get a bit wild. We did for my stag do, or
Because you got married fairly recently, wasn't it? May?
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
All right, I didn't realise it was that recent.
Yeah, very recent. And so I keep changing words because I have to change words because they're all American and they don't understand things. So when I say stag do, they go, "What is a stag do?"
What do they call it?
Bachelor party.
Really? I didn't.
Yeah. So
I've obviously heard of a bachelor party, but I did not know that that's what they call
I have
stag
to
do.
think. So I have to really think when I'm speaking to them whether, and especially as well, I've got Cumbrian words that I use that they haven't
Just to
got
confuse
a
them even
clue.
more.
Yeah, they haven't got a clue. So one of them didn't even know what Ribena was, which just destroyed me. That
Get him out of the
destroyed me.
group now.
I was like, Ribena, and he's like, Beaner? And I'm like, no, Ribena. What's Ribena?
Oh, God.
And then I had to explain it. Explain Ribena now. Try and explain Ribena.
Like a dilute fruit drink?
Okay, what fruit?
Yeah, some kind of berries. I don't know what berries it is.
It's blackcurrant.
Yeah, blackcurrant. It is
Right,
blackcurrant.
And what's a blackcurrant?
It's a kind of type of berry,
Okay.
I think.
He had no clue what a blackcurrant was. So I'm like, there's levels to this. And you're not on any of them. So my bachelor party, we had a Comedy Content Collective bachelor party on Skype. So we had like 10 of us all. It had to start at 4 a.m.
Oh,
because
God.
of the time difference. And we all
When most parties are ending.
we drank for about 4 hours, all had a laugh and stuff. I have all the recordings, and we were going to put it up as a funny podcast thing. I don't think, no. There's
Was it
things
just-
on there that happened that it's just like, no, that's definitely
How
not.
long was it?
3 hours. 3 hours.
You'd have to go through and edit it.
There was nudity. There was one guy who just kept changing his hat. So one of our groups was called 18 Hats and Counting for a bit because literally someone went through and counted, and he'd put 18 hats on through the whole thing. He just kept disappearing, and then he'd come back and have a flat cap on. And we're like, what are you... But you try and not lose your train of thought.
Yeah. How many people were in the conversation?
10, there was 10 at that time.
That's never going to work as a podcast. Surely too many people are always talking over each other and you can't hear anyone.
Because we all know podcasts and we all listen to podcasts. It was actually relatively...
Even when you were drunk?
Oh yeah. It was because I think I'm quite overbearing.
You become the leader.
So more of an
Or the
annoyance,
controller.
but yeah, and so I'll be telling some elaborate story, whilst you've got like 4 people listening, but then the others are all doing other things. One had his baby, was just walking around with his baby doing like chores in the house and a beer, and I'm like, okay. And then there was one that just kept taking his top off.
Do you happen to have every single audio track separately?
It's literally just a Skype video. It's recorded through Skype.
Ah, right. So,
So
the
that's all-
quality is probably not that great anyway. Is it?
It's okay because what Skype does is it takes the aggregate of the quality of all the channels
Ah, right.
and then puts it into a better version. The only difference is, depending on who downloads it, you get a different perspective of where people are on the screen.
So you could it's a lot of work. You'd probably get everyone to download their own version, put it all together. If I imagine if you edited it like to what's acceptable, oh, it's down to 3 minutes. That's all we've got. That's all usable.
Probably 30 seconds, I would say.
But yeah. Oh, there's something I was going to mention. So what you have a condition, don't you? I remember
ME,
that. I remember that.
myalgic encephalomyelitis.
And this is memory.
No.
'Cause I remember
There is a symptom of memory. Yeah.
So what is that then?
So basically, it's a condition that affects like your muscles and pain and fatigue, and then that also can affect your brain. So it depends what symptoms you have. So that would be called brain fog,
Right.
where my memory's not that good. So a lot of the time I'll forget words. It's not very good for podcasts, but a lot of the. But I'm lucky that I can speak around.
Well,
the fact that I
it's
can.
got to be easier if you're talking about something that you know very well and you love.
Yeah.
If we were talking about something that you weren't that au fait about, then you might lose your train of thought.
Sometimes it's not even the train. It's more. I'll literally lose words,
Right.
and I won't even know what the word is.
Because
I know what I want to say, but
people don't know. You obviously used to be in a band.
Yes.
And we did a few gigs together back in the day.
Yes.
But you always had the lyrics.
Literally
on
had
your phone
to.
in front of you.
Well,
Before I knew anything, I was like, "What is he doing? As if you can't remember the words to whatever song it was."
The worst thing was when I would forget to bring like pieces of paper or have something there where I could, so it looks a bit more professional. So then I would have my phone, like you say,
Yeah.
but then I wouldn't turn the brightness down enough. So people
Oh,
would take
yeah.
videos, and you can just see this light shining up at me, and I just look
Looks like
evil.
he's brought his own light.
It's just weird. Like, this is my best angle ever on, so better get
Take
it.
lots of photos.
So that's one of the symptoms that really affects me.
So that makes total sense now.
And with the singing, that's a huge part of it. Knowing the lyrics,
Of course.
is a huge part of being a
How
singer.
how else does it affect you?
A lot of it is pain based and fatigue. So most of my time is spent in bed, which means I can sit and draw for comedians.
There you go. So it does have some advantages.
That was the thing I needed to work out, because I previously worked at Phones for You, which will have been around the time when I was doing gigging,
Yeah.
and we'll have met and stuff.
So this phone that you had would have been the best at the time.
Yes, it would have been. But they went bankrupt. So
Oh yes.
so
I remember that.
I was actually off work at that time, but obviously still employed by them.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would work with the occupational health team, go back to work for a few months. If it got bad, I would be off, but then I'd work with them to do a phased return. So I did that about 8 times within like a 6-year period.
Yeah.
So, and it was quite frustrating. Very frustrating when the company goes under when you're off, because you're on their books, but you're not on their books.
Right.
So when it came to like, everyone got made redundant effectively, but I wasn't working any hours. I wasn't put down for any hours and stuff.
Right.
So it was like I got the short end of the stick, if you will, in that scenario. But the worst thing about it was you can't get a job like that. You can't do a phased return to work at a new job. I can't say I'm perfect for this role, but I need to do 30 minutes today. Then we'll work up after a week to 45 minutes. We'll see how we get on, okay? And you pay me the same, okay? You just can't do that. So you end up being in a situation where you're like, I need to find some way to do something where I feel like I'm
contributing.
Yeah. Obviously, you can't do something that will give you a massive financial boost, because I'm spending 80% of my time in bed. So
Right.
there's no
So
way for me
what
to
did you
do
do
that.
after that?
So so between then and then, I was doing gigs,
Yep.
but they were all unpaid.
Yep.
And then I started drawing, and that's it. So it's the same. So technically, I am unemployed
Right.
on disability. That's essentially what it is. So, and I get the
So
lowest.
you do get some benefits
I
from
get
it.
the lowest bit of benefits.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I'm in the middle at the moment of transitioning off. I wanted to get off benefits for ages.
Of course. Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of the transition to, so hopefully next month or in a month and a half, I will not be on benefits, and I will be a full-time
Self-employed.
digitalized, hopefully. But that's what I want. I needed to find something that was flexible enough
Yeah.
that I can put stuff up when I need to put, as and when I can go at my own pace, and drawing was perfect for it. Singing was a lot less perfect for it.
Fun, but not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the podcasting is perfect for me. The band was hard slog for, I don't know, it was just full on and for very little reward. Whereas
Yeah.
this is,
But you still,
I own it.
Like, I think out of all the bands in the area that I knew of, because when I started singing, I was just all coming into that sort of, because there was a bit of a community, wasn't there? Really.
yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't part of it before that.
This was a whole new thing to you.
Yeah, so I didn't know all these bands. I didn't really go to many gigs. So
how on earth did you get into it in the first place then?
I was just, someone said, we need a singer.
Classic.
I know that you sing. Do you want to come and
Yeah!
So I was like, yes. So I went and did. It wasn't really an audition, but it was like, I'll go to the studio where it was like a lock-up garage thing.
Oh, was it Atlas?
We eventually were at Atlas, but
Okay.
this was a different one. Oh no, we were at Atlas first. Yes, so Atlas, so D's bit.
Yeah.
So went there, and I was very nervous because I was like, oh, this feels like an audition, but it wasn't really. It was more like our first practice.
Yeah.
I think we went through a few different bassists until we met Marc, we knew Marc, and obviously he knew Hughes through music.
He was our original bass player.
So everyone knew someone through someone else, and then I think your band was the most like at the top of everyone,
Right.
if you get what I mean. Everyone else was kind of like, you seem very professional, let's put it that way.
Right. Okay.
Compared to everyone
we're
else.
the most prolific. We worked hard.
Yeah.
We're always doing stuff.
But that's good. That's good. But as you say, with music, you can put a lot of effort in and then not get much out of it financially. Obviously, you get a lot out of it from doing the performance of it. That's
I mean,
that's the main
you
bit,
get the band into a position where the band can pay for itself. So every time you do something, the band can pay for it. You know, because when everyone starts, you all got to put your own money in to get it off the ground stuff. And for some people, that goes on for longer than others. But luckily, within a few years, we got it to a point where like we don't have to pay for things. The band can pay for the hotel.
So I didn't know what happened there. Did you just?
It just got to the point where we were all just like, we need to take a break because obviously we're away all the time.
Yeah.
So like for the other, I'm self-employed, but the other guys, every holiday was for the band. You didn't go to family weddings or holidays where your girlfriend's like, "Can we go? Should we go on a holiday?" Nah,
No.
I don't think so. I'm on tour that weekend. You know, and after 6 years of
we
that,
can go on holiday. You just follow me on this tour
yeah.
that we're
If
doing.
you want to be a roadie, you can come with us to Birmingham.
Some people in that crowd would probably do that.
Yeah,
I
probably
think.
would. But it just got to the point where it's like, we need to live life. And
Yeah, you probably do miss
the
quite a
longer
lot.
you sort of push on with that, it's just going to go downhill, and you're going to enjoy it less
Yeah,
because you're doing it just because you think you should.
and you're getting older.
But
as well.
but at the end of the day, the well-being of the individuals outweighs the well-being of the band as a whole.
100%, yeah.
So unless all the individuals agree that that's what you should do, then you should
Then it's
stop.
done.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just going to crash.
Do you go to many gigs now and stuff like
Not
that?
really,
Do you
no.
speak to many people that were doing gigs?
Yeah, I
down
keep in
there?
touch. Well, it's part of the reason why I do this.
Right. Oh, to be able to. Yeah.
people
Well, I've
that-
seen a few. Obviously, I had to watch a few episodes before I came on.
Yeah.
I'd already watched a few episodes anyways, and then I was just recently watching I like the the fact that you do like a May. You did a May like,
best of.
Best of.
Yeah.
I like stuff like that because then I actually when people are saying, "Oh, what are you up to this weekend?" and I said that was on here, I was like, that was perfect for me to go. There you go, and they could look at it and they'll see.
It's part of the reason why I do it.
A whole different, because you don't just see one guest, you see like a plethora of.
But we have
of
2
what
a
you've
month,
had on.
so it's a highlight of 2 guests every month. It's just like the funniest bit or a serious bit or whatever, because a lot of them now are getting to like 3 hours per episode, so that's 6 hours a month condensed into maybe an hour.
And you kind of have to pick the sweet bits out.
Yeah,
don't you?
usually it's just there's lots of hilarious just stuff that comes out that you wasn't meant to be, or ridiculous stuff, or sometimes it's quite serious stuff. You know, it's a bit of everything. Depends on the guest, because one month it'll be like a musician, and the next one it'll be like an author or a comedian or something. It's just like
so
a contrast.
Do you ever have? I know there was one that I saw someone do a performance.
Yeah, Melanie Baker.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was it.
She's doing very well. Yeah, she played 2 songs on here. We had a blues band on. They did a bit of a blues thing.
Oh.
It was kind of organic, though. We hadn't planned to do that, but then some people said, if they were a musician, they said, "Can I bring my guitar?" Like, why not?
Okay, it's gonna happen.
Then we had Luke Appleton on, but he was really loud, so it kind of almost blew the setup.
Oh, really?
It's just so loud. Really, like, if I had to do it again, we just need one mic by the guitar. Just pick up the guitar, because his voice was so loud, he didn't need a mic, I would have thought.
Yeah.
Because his voice was so overpowering.
Right,
the guitar
okay.
was less. So we could have just put one mic in front of his, like, where the hole is on the guitar, and that would have been it.
That would have been fine.
But I hadn't even thought about that. He says, "The world." You look at the waveform, and it's like maxing out. Luckily, we have a limiter, and it's compressed anyway. But it could have blown it.
Yeah, still.
Didn't we? There was one episode where we laughed, and it blew everything out. All the sound went for a few seconds.
Did it?
Was it Melanie? It might have been Melanie Baker or someone. We laughed really loud, and it's gone. Everything's gone. He's there panicking, going, "Oh my god!" But then it just slowly we were all just there going. He'd given up. He's like, "Oh, we're fucked." Then it just slowly started to come back. We're like, "What the hell happened there?"
Well, maybe the equipment started laughing. Maybe it was such a good moment.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
If anyone asks in the future, that's what happened.
It was an ethereal moment, and the equipment felt it.
Yeah. But I just started off musicians because that's all I know.
Right.
But as opportunities come along, people message me
Yeah,
saying,
you want to speak to more people.
I don't want to sort of limit myself, and because then the conversations end up being similar.
Yes.
Because you're talking
And
about musicians.
also,
so.
if you're speaking to musicians that know each other, you probably tell a few of the same stories as well.
That's a difficult thing to try not to repeat yourself, but sometimes it comes up.
Yeah.
It's part of the conversation. You have to.
You have to, yeah.
But yeah, you just try and I want to be challenged. I want to have people on who have different opinions. I want to hear different people's thoughts on. Someone might say something. Oh, I haven't thought of that. Or
would you ever do anything politically?
No.
Is there what are your what are your faux pas for people coming on podcasts?
Probably just politics. If someone was just, I wouldn't do an episode just about politics because I'm not an expert on it. I'm not.
Nothing else that you wouldn't want said on the podcast.
Not particularly. Not that I can think of.
Well, most podcasters are like, right, I don't want you to speak on this.
No. It's usually, if anything, to do
don't mention my nose. Don't talk about my backdrop. Don't do it. And then you're like, okay, yeah. I had to do a conspiracy one, which I'm not that heavily into conspiracy. I don't know if you are.
No.
I'm very agnostic when it comes to conspiracies, and I like to think about it in a sensible way. And so I was on one with some people that were a little bit less sensible. That's me being very nice and subtle there.
Just put it mildly.
But they're actually really nice guys. But I was on the episode just to be like, hold on, what are you doing?
The question
yeah,
things,
like
yeah.
That's wrong. Stop. We're in the sky here. You're about to take us to a different universe. We want to keep it a little bit more grounded to planet Earth, please. So that was a weird experience to speak conspiracies on a podcast, because obviously, unless you've got someone to Google information, it's mostly just what that person has in their head and so some guys just watched a YouTube video on conspiracy theories, and then they're just regurgitating that. So then when you have a question and go, oh, but what about this?
A lot of people do that in life, just in general. They're just regurgitating other people's opinions. But
you've got to find a way to maybe put your own spin on it.
But you want to also form your own opinions on
Yes,
things.
yes.
Otherwise, surely it's going to come back on you at some point if you don't actually have your own opinions.
But after that, I was asked to go on a political version.
Oh,
That's why I asked the question, and
I don't know if I would do that.
I was like,
I don't.
Well, it was based on the guy wanting Brexit and another guy not, and him asking me, "Do you want to come on and like referee?"
Referee, come on with like a stripy shirt and a whistle.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm not really sure if I want to go down this route."
I want a good clean fight.
I don't mind having pictures of my naked body on the internet, but I do not want a video of me having to go, "Are you stupid?" And then,
but we should
the
be
back
able
and
to
forth.
disagree with each other and not fall out over it. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but then you don't get good moments. I think
Yeah,
that's what
well,
they
yeah.
wanted.
Oh,
I
right.
think they were trying to make it controversial, so then it would
Okay.
go viral.
That doesn't sound like it's going to be as good as it could be.
There was a guy. It's one of the podcasts that I sponsor, and he had a guy that was on Joe Rogan, Mick West.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So he had him on after he'd been on Rogan,
Yeah.
and then after that had another one with another guy who disagreed with him. So he had him and a guy that disagreed on his podcast, and I was
One
like,
after the other or together?
together.
Ah,
So on
okay.
the same. So he was trying to do a kind of, you know,
A
Joe
debate- a
Rogan
debate.
sometimes. Yeah, he sometimes has like.
Yeah, he's had like
opposing people on.
a physicist who does one thing, and then a conspiracy guy who does.
There was a
conspiracy
diet
about that.
one as well. There was one about paleo versus carnivore
yeah.
diet that he did
That
as well.
was-
So
Some of it just goes over my head.
I think all of it goes over my head. To be honest with you. But
Like
then
some of the
after-
physicists and scientists ones are like,
it's the history ones that I like find interesting, but then I'm like, I'll because then we don't learn American history,
no,
so I just get lost in like.
they don't even have that much history. I've only got a couple of hundred years.
Well, exactly. So even in their short time, I get lost.
But I always
So
find, yeah, but I always find quite often their history is more interesting. There's just less of it.
maybe
They just
it's the way they word it,
they just
the
do
way
stuff.
they wrote it down. It's a bit like the Bible, probably. Religion. What about
I would, yeah. I'm not. I don't believe in religion. I'm not
that?
religious.
Oh no, it
person at all.
exists. Look in the dictionary. It's a real word.
There's a Bible. There's a Quran. Surely, these fictional stories that were created a long time ago.
But yeah, so there is like some things that you go on podcasts and you wonder whether it's a good idea to speak about or not. And I was wondering whether have you ever had like a controversial moment or anything that you've had to edit out or anything like that?
No,
No.
not yet.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. No one.
Looking
no
at you
one's-
to see if you're trying.
I could see it happening, but no one's really.
Do you ever drink on podcasts?
No, but I want to. I want to do a drunk. I want to do a drunk cast.
Oh,
Definitely.
well, that with my bachelor party Skype one, I'm going to recommend that you don't do that.
I would want to do it, but I'd have to choose my people carefully, and I'd have to be people that I know wouldn't end up just being mumbling drunk idiots. Where
Yeah, you want it to be cohesive.
I like, because I don't get shit faced where I don't know what I'm saying or I can't walk or I don't remember anything. I just like to
Okay.
get happy drunk. I know
See,
when time
all
to
that
stop.
whole sentence there, I don't understand. I don't understand. I didn't get what you meant there.
I used to be like that, but
You put it in your mouth until you can't think. That's basically. I'm pretty sure that's how alcohol works.
no, I don't let myself get like that anymore. It never ends well.
It doesn't, but I mean, I suppose.
Not if I was doing a podcast anyway. No, that would, because at the end of the day, you got to think about it as a content that you're going to put out there.
Yeah.
So,
Do you really want people to see you in that state, kind of thing?
or here, it's mainly here. It's audio, mainly audio anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah. Well, the audio that would probably maybe be like you were saying, someone being loud singing. I could see people being really loud when
yeah.
they're
We
drunk.
could just get like a karaoke and just start recording that. But then again, you can't put it out because the music would be copyrighted. So,
So I recently had an issue with that, with putting. So I took a video at my wedding of my wife dancing, like as you do, celebrating the moment, the joyous occasion, and then my friends all singing around. I think it was a Cardi B track. I didn't ask for Cardi B to be put on, by the way. And I put it up. I thought, oh, that's a good moment. I'll put it on Facebook. Nope, gets taken down straight away. I'm like, hang on, this is an organic video
Algorithms.
that I've just taken and it's because
Fucking
of,
algorithms.
yeah, it was through Instagram. It was copyrighted. There was a copyright strike or whatever it's called through Insta.
So do you put it on Instagram, which shared it through Facebook?
Yes. So the
Right.
Facebook one stayed up, but the
Yeah.
sound went like weird and wobbly. That's what
Yeah.
sometimes they can do, and sometimes that's to do with what quality the video is before you put it on,
Yeah.
and the way they compress it. But sometimes it seems to be because there's some music on there that
Copyrighted.
is copyrighted. And so I can't have that moment on social media because the music was too loud. And I thought about there is ways to get around it where you like put some white noise in with the noise of the
Or
video.
you slow it
can do
down
that.
slightly or speed it up.
Yeah.
Changes the pitch.
So you can do that, but
Can you be asked?
no, no.
It wouldn't
I
be the
can't.
same anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And it's only my first wedding.
Because-
Maybe my fourth one.
First wedding. You don't say things like that. So this current wife,
Oh, funny.
that'll be off. We'll edit that out for you. Cut that bit out.
She'll love it. It's fine.
No, but Instagram, I've got set music that you can use. I've seen people put stories up
free-
with, but some of it is mainstream music. They must have struck a deal with. I've
Yeah,
seen some
so
songs on there that I know
I'm
of.
not really sure what service they use to do that, whether it's through Spotify or someone like that.
But they should do more of that.
They should.
If they can
But
do
you
that, and
have
the
to-
artist still
you
gets
have to
the
do it through
royalties.
their story.
Yeah. I know
So
what you mean.
you can't put it as a post.
But you should be able to. You should be able to. And if they've signed a deal,
if they've
and
got
the
it.
artist was going to get the royalty from it, the mechanical rights to it,
I don't think they do.
surely they must be, in this day and age, they must be able to.
Well, I don't know. You'll probably know more about stuff like Spotify and things and the way that works. I'm always hearing about people going, "Oh, they're taking money from the artist."
They're not taking money from the artist. They're just not giving them as much as they could.
Yeah, so they're getting less than what they.
The
really
age-old
should.
thing is the fact that CD album sales went out the window, which was quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
And streaming doesn't replace it. Ratio-wise, the money that
Okay.
artists would get for if you sold 1,000 albums versus you got 1,000 streams,
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't.
gonna be-
You
yeah.
get 0.04 pence per stream versus I don't know. You'd get 20% of $10 of an album.
So do you think, statistically, if there obviously you probably couldn't do this experiment, but if you were to have an album and then, so the amount of time you've had that album, so say, what's your favorite album that you've got?
Recently, probably Marmosette's.
Okay, so how many times would you say that you've listened to that album?
Probably about 15, 20.
Okay, so because a stream is a play of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you were to tally up how much you played the CD in its lifetime compared to that thing, do you think the money would maybe make more sense?
Probably. It doesn't work like that,
No?
but no, it's very complicated. There's a lot of politics behind it as well. Like the
Right.
record companies own most of the a percentage of the streaming platforms now anyway. So they still, because they want to control it.
I have playlists in my Amazon. I use Amazon Music,
Okay.
which is
You're
probably a
in-
bit
you're in-
left
you're in the
field.
minority.
Yeah, but that's what I use, and I've got playlists on there where some of the songs just they're there, but they can't play because
Yeah.
they've obviously been on the platform. They've been taken off the platform.
Because Spotify has the monopoly on most
Right.
artists.
Okay.
Because they're only going to sign a deal with
And
one.
what about? I've heard of this Tidal thing. What's Tidal?
Oh, I don't know.
That's Jay-Z's one, I think.
Oh, is that what that is? Yeah, he tried to create his
That's
own.
kind of
and,
like Spotify,
That's what Taylor Swift did.
right?
Take her music off all the other platforms and
And then
have
put
her
it
own.
onto that one, so then you have to go over to that thing.
That doesn't even saying it doesn't. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You're going to take this. It's like BBC got backlash for having BBC Sounds. Have you heard of that? They have an
Right.
app called BBC Sounds
Okay.
where all BBC podcasts are on there. I don't know if they're taking them off all the other platforms, but
Okay.
they're trying to get everyone to go just to BBC Sounds for
Yeah.
all BBC podcasts,
Okay.
so that if
So then, essentially, they're taking.
I don't know what I don't know is
It's
if
not
they
gonna
if they
translate,
have
is it?
or if they're planning on making it so you can only get it there.
If
If they were
did-
doing that as well as being on iTunes and everywhere else,
Yeah.
where most
then that's
99% of
fine.
people
Yeah,
are, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it would be daft. It would shoot themselves
Yeah,
in the foot
yeah,
if
they're
they were making
basically
people go.
Chopping off.
Who
a
wants
huge
wants
chunk of their
another
audience.
app to use with all the hundreds of apps we all use
True.
every day? Who wants
I've got
another
too many
one?
already.
It's like some podcasters hell bent on getting their own app for their podcast. Well, I would. The
Right.
fact that I would have. I've got one app where all my podcasts are. and every time they get a new episode, I go to that one app. If I had an app for each individual podcast that I have to go to get the episode, I just wouldn't. I would not do it.
Yeah, it would be silly. It would be silly. And I know that there's some that I do.
They do extra content in there, I suppose.
Where so Christie, he'll the first 10 minutes of his podcast you can watch live.
Yeah.
Through the app, and then there's and he posts social stuff on there that he doesn't post on other media sites. Now, if you're obsessed with that person, then that's great for you.
Yeah.
But
if you're a casual sort of,
I'm not like that with anyone. I don't think there's no like famous person that I'm like so invested in that I would get their app just to see everything that they're doing.
No, I mean, obviously Joe Rogan's been my favorite podcast for 10 years, and if he had an extra app with all the extra stuff, as long as I could still get the normal episodes the way I do now, I wouldn't do that.
So what do you think about him not having to go live anymore?
I've not
Have
heard
you
of
not
this.
noticed?
No.
Oh, well, because you use Podcast Addict,
Yeah,
I assume.
Yeah.
So do you ever watch the YouTube videos of it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so he's had to stop doing live ones, and it was like not. So the people that were used to getting a notification in YouTube and being like, oh, he's going live now, I'll start watching.
Yeah, that's the point. I did get the notifications, but I never obviously.
So now you'll get a notification that he's put one up, but it's pre-recorded. And so there was a few conspiracies in the community about why that was done. Some people were saying it's because he was like getting ready for Kanye.
That still hasn't happened.
But I don't really. I've seen him on I think Letterman's just done one with him. So I think I'll be on. Maybe it's just my view, but I think I saw everything I wanted to on that interview. I don't think he'll give anything to. There's more people that I'd like Ricky Gervais to go on Joe Rogan.
Yes.
That'd be great.
I would.
So he's had to stop doing the live, but the actual crack behind that is copyright. So you'll have noticed from listening to his podcasts that sometimes they're like, "Oh, we can't play that."
They don't put stuff up on YouTube.
And they tried to do a thing where Jamie would put the transparency down on a smaller version of what they were watching. Yeah. So that you could kind of see what they're watching, but you kind of can't.
They put it up if he's just looking at a website, if they're reading something. But when it comes to it's mainly just YouTube, isn't it?
Yes.
If they put if they try and play a video that's on YouTube,
their video, they should be able to play it. But,
that's not.
But they can't now because of the way they've changed it, and especially with live streaming. So basically, what will happen is if you put something on YouTube live, you'll get 300. Let's say you get 300,000 views from that video, and then after the live ends, it becomes a video
that
on
you
the
can
website.
watch any time.
Those 300 million don't count towards the view count.
It sort of resets when it goes up as a video.
Yeah. So even though you're getting the audience there, and technically, if you've got sponsors on the live thing, you would be getting money in that way. And people are coming to the website, and maybe you've got AdSense or you're an affiliate of Amazon or something like that. Really, you're not getting the benefit of those viewers. And money wise, if that gets striked, if you get a YouTube strike on a live video, it goes down. You lose all the money from it.
Right. And
with a normal video, it can come back, and sometimes you can get the revenue back. But with a live video, because of the instance of it being live, it kind of refreshing when it goes to being the normal video.
Right, yeah.
You don't get any of that. You won't see any of that. So, and it's got that bad that sometimes I've had to take podcasts down recently. I think the H3 podcast had some problems with it as well. So they've gone to not
any of that.
So that's why they're now not doing live ones.
That was part, as a guest, that must have been part of the whole. Mind you, the majority of the listens are audio, same as all podcasts. The majority of the
they're still
20 million downloads will be people downloading it on a device later on in their own time.
It was the people that are so used to the notification.
Don't get me wrong. I used to get 50 to 100,000 people watching live. Obviously, no, it's probably about 40 or 50,000 people watching live he would get. Yeah. But then as soon as it became an on-demand video on YouTube, then that would get anywhere around 1 million views. It's still enough. 50,000 watching live is still enough to make you change what you're doing, I suppose.
Also, if I don't know what you do with your audio version, but a lot of podcasts they talk about their sponsors on the podcast on video, like they'll do reads,
Ah,
but then
right, yeah.
on the audio, they'll have a different sponsor. So Joe Rogan's got a lot of sponsors on his audio version of his podcast.
Yeah. They don't do any. I don't.
But you never hear them on the video version
It's
because
you can't with YouTube. You can't do that.
he's got the ads. He could do that if
You'd have to have deals for separate audio and video deals with everyone who the sponsors.
Some people do that.
Yeah.
But I think they want you to have your ad at the
His
front,
will
ad
be
at the end.
whatever ads pop up at the beginning and at the end, or maybe even in between.
And then the revenue from that. So depending on what CPM you have, you get a certain amount of dollars per views. So, and I think they recently changed it. So if you don't have more than 10,000 subscribers, or is it 1,000?
It's 1,000 subscribers and 400 hours a year.
Then you can't get that revenue.
It's a certain threshold,
Which
which is why,
he'll
like,
be
for
on
me,
the top CPM.
From what we do, we just put it out because we can.
Yeah.
It's a small percentage of our audio, but it's different. Some people don't do podcasts, so it's the only way they would get to watch it. It's a different
It
type
is
of
weird
person.
because we're a part of the transition.
Yeah.
Like our kids, the next generation, they'll have always had podcasts.
Yeah. Some people just listen to music on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
I always find ads bore me. Like,
especially the ones where it's like
if you have a
30 seconds
playlist
and you
or
can't
something.
skip it.
Yeah.
That does my
So
head in.
annoying.
It'd have to be something that I really like to sit through that.
But I can't really talk because I'm on Amazon Music, which is just weird, isn't it?
You're a fucking dinosaur, you are.
Exactly.
Have you used Spotify?
Yeah, I think I had it free with my phone
I couldn't
contract
do without it.
for about a year. If I log in, all my playlists are still there, but I use Amazon. I think it's because I got the Echoes, the Amazon Echo things.
Yeah.
And so I got a family account so that me, my wife, and whoever else in my family wanted to use it, they could go on Amazon Music and use that. But it's that I'm saying that even as I'm saying it, I'm going, that's not the best way to do it. But that's the way I do it. Okay.
There's many different ways you can do it, but I don't know. It's everything's changing. All these smart speakers and things that are like new to us.
So my wife bought a house a year ago in Newcastle. And the first thing she was like, oh, I need to get some furniture. And then I was like, oh, no, what you need some of them Amazon Echoes. And then you need a Ring doorbell. And then we need to get some of those...
get your priorities in the right order.
Get those bulbs so that you can control your lights with the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And she was just like, no, I don't need that. I managed to get the Echoes in. I got the Echoes in there. She allowed me to put the Echoes in. And they're quite good because if you've got the app on your phone, you can drop in at home. So... I'll be in Carlisle, and if I can't get hold of her, I'm like, maybe she's in the bedroom, maybe she's getting changed or something. So then I can just go drop in upstairs, and it gives them a small, it goes did, and then you're there, you're speaking.
Oh, I didn't even
so then I can just be like, hello, are you there? And I've done it a few times to like scare her, obviously, because that's the first thing I probably did. Yeah, exactly. And I did the whole thing of like, if she's got a guest round, like someone from work, I'll play some weird music. Like if I put Slayer, Raining Blood on, and she's got someone around for a cup of tea, and they're just like, oh, what is going on here? And then she'll be like, it's just Nathan. It's just Nathan.
I noticed on your thing it said you write.
Yes.
What do you write?
So I used to do blogs, which it was mainly about my illness.
Okay. Are they still online for people to see?
Yeah, they're WordPress. It's just Nathan. Everything on my social media that's personal stuff is under the moniker Nathan Hairs. And then anything that's...
How's Hairs spelled?
Hairs. So Nathan Hairs. I don't know why. It was a thing that Google gave me, and I was like, I'm going to keep that. That's cool.
Okay.
But that's coming from, again, Amazon Music guy. So maybe not as cool as I first thought. So it's Nathan Hairs on WordPress, I think it is.
I'll put a link to that.
And I used to, some of them are a bit cringy, to be honest with you, and I read them back. But
what was the point of it then?
It was basically to get, when you have an illness that like affects you in a certain way, everything, you have a different outlook on everything. It's the same as like, I would probably compare it to someone that's got really bad anxiety. So you have to approach every situation differently to what someone normally would. They don't have to think about certain things that you would have to certainly think of. So doing that on a daily basis, you come up with little quirks and little things that you do to help yourself, and you think, right, well, I'll write that into some sort of blog and just put it out there because it might help someone else that's got the illness. There is a community of people that have similar illnesses to me, or the same, that it's basically chronic pain conditions, that it's all online based. So they all have blogs and they all talk to each other, and they all, right, I've had this for this many years. I have a line that I don't cross, which is talking about personal symptoms too much, because a lot of people on Facebook just love oversharing, and I don't want to know that you've got a boil on your bum. So,
but the whole point of a blog is you can put it all in there.
Exactly,
and it's out there.
And it gave me a chance to, because I do like writing. It gave me a chance to like eloquently put the things that I wanted to say, rather than just being like, I use this to make me feel better. I can put it in a certain
Sometimes
way.
you can, if you're a bit like emotional or hyped up, you're just going to.
It's a good outlet. It's a good
But
outlet.
if you're writing it, you have to sort of, you can rewrite it.
Exactly, and
you can edit it.
It's another way of getting your creativity out. And I've always been a creative, so any way that I can do that, I'll do it. I don't think I'd ever be a YouTuber. That's one thing that most creatives do. Like
that's a young man's
like
game.
a proper, like the vlog every day kind
How old
of.
Are you?
Like I'm 31.
I'm too old. Far too old.
I find that as a compliment, because some of these
you don't want to
vloggers,
be
I
into
just
this
can't-
world.
No, I just can't. I can't.
Like the YouTuber world. I've spoke about this before. The fast editing that they do, where they cut everything, just every thought goes straight to the next thought. They cut out ums and ahs and ands, and well, if they just go straight. They cut all that out, so it makes the speaking. No one talks like that.
It's weird also, because they have to do that to make it a certain. I think the algorithm actually takes stuff like that into account, especially with the tags and stuff, and the way that you put it out there with YouTube. But obviously it changes constantly. But they also have to make it a certain amount of time. So you will notice that YouTube videos will, if they are going hard for money and they're hustling with their YouTube game, 10 minutes, just over 10 minutes. That's the average, because once you get it over 10 minutes, you can put a certain amount of ads in, more than what if it's under, and you get a higher CPM.
This goes back to the whole, if the only reason you're doing it is to make money, then surely it cannot be as good as it could be. Otherwise,
I think it'll just feel empty, just as empty as someone doing a job that they don't like.
You can see through it.
But they have, it's a plus. They have more pluses than that, because the money side of it.
I'm not knocking them.
If it works,
it's just my
it
opinion.
works, and they get the money, they get the fame they want and stuff. But obviously, it's very empty. It's vacuous. But
as content goes, I could watch one of those, and then I could watch a video with someone with nothing cut out of it for the same length of time.
yes,
So like a 10-minute one edited fast from all over the place. Then I could watch like a clip of a podcast to people talking, and the experience to me would be no different.
exactly.
Like it doesn't make any difference to me as the listener.
But also, how old are you?
38.
Okay, too old.
Well, yeah, of course I am.
The way kids and young people consume videos is completely different to the way that we do. I don't fully understand it, but I know that the people at YouTube and the people that go really hard with their hustle, they know what works. You don't need to have 1 million subscribers.
I thought you were going to say, I'm too old. You don't need to understand it. Just let it go, Grandad.
Well, no, that's true. I just didn't want to say it, because I thought that was maybe would be a sad moment.
I'm old, and maybe if I
I
sound
don't
old,
like
I am.
I hate that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But because it's,
Plus, nobody talks like that. That's the bit. If it reflected how the young people were talking, that would make total sense. This is how they all talk, so that's how the videos are. But the videos are.
and it goes back to the thing of saying what's in the head without actually knowing what the actual thing is. So they don't Google things before they say them. They don't look into things. It comes out of the mouth.
That's
and
young
they
people for you.
they
Yeah.
assume
They
that
just
it's true.
come out with bullshit.
I'm sure I did it when I was younger.
The only thing I can compare it to is people who don't. Like, they don't sound like they talk naturally. Like people on the news. Hello, welcome to the Night on News.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
it's just like, nobody talks like that. So why is that a thing?
But it works for some reason. It must be some sort
It doesn't.
of
No, it's not necessarily that it
psychological
works. People
thing.
accept it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it works.
Well, maybe, yeah. I think it's some sort of psychological thing. There'll be some book out there explaining why they use that. I'd like to actually watch that. or read that. If
I
there's
wonder
a
if
documentary
did
or
the
book.
mainstream outlets ever look at what they do and go, how could we change this? How could we make it better? How could we make it
They'll have whole
more
teams.
relatable?
They'll have whole teams that do that, right? And they'll make them work for 8 months, and then right at the end of it, they'll go, "Nah, would you keep it the same?" They've
Because
just wasted a load of money. But
all they think about is bottom line.
Well,
That's
exactly.
all their priority. So it doesn't matter. You could come up with 1,000 reasons why it would be better, but
And
it
then
would
who
cost slightly
owns it?
more. No.
And then who owns the media
Oh,
as well? You've got to put that into the conversation, because that brings in the conspiracy heads as well. Is this person controlling the
Yeah.
BBC? Is this left leaning, right leaning? To me, it never bothers me what way it leans. If it just
no one gives
sounds
a
logical,
shit. No one gives a shit.
and I'm interested about it, then I'll watch it. But other than that, it's like.
But this goes back to the whole us individually being in control of our own. Like I control this. I own
Exactly.
this.
You,
I
you
decide
can
what's going to happen with it.
curate your own.
No one's telling me
outlook.
what to do.
Yeah.
I can't. No one can sack me from it.
No.
I can't get sacked
You
from
can
it.
just keep doing it. But if that's why it's so harmful, the way I think YouTube and certain things are going, or it seems that way. I think people should be more trepidatious about it, because as soon as you're reliant on money from a company for doing something, yeah, you can make videos whenever you want. But if you're stuck on YouTube, you've got 200,000 subscribers, you're getting X amount a month.
You're held to
putting
ransom, really.
Exactly. And they could just go, yeah, but you said the word gay, so we're actually going to
Yeah,
take
you
all
said
the money off you.
You mentioned a black person.
And there's actually a business set up. There is around every facet of anything, but with specifically with YouTube, where people will go, I'm going to strike your video.
Yeah, I was just I thought you were going to say this. It's
though-
terrifying.
Even though I don't own anything in it.
This is why I'm glad we don't put much emphasis on it. Someone could strike out. Our YouTube channel could disappear, and it wouldn't make any difference to
Well,
us.
it's quantity for them. They just do it to every
So basically,
type
for
in a
anyone,
word and then
for anyone that doesn't know, so they could flag up your video as being infringing copyright, even though it doesn't, and it gets taken down, and it's the person who owns the channel's job to prove that it isn't infringing copyright, but it's a long process. And it's not
backwards,
straightforward,
it's
and it can
completely
take
backwards.
ages. If you've got hundreds of thousands of subscribers and you get millions of views, and it's a source of revenue, that's a big issue. So that seems like the wrong way around. The person
It
who's
is, it's
claiming,
backwards, completely
the person who's making the claim, it should be their job
they
to
should have
prove
to prove it
how-
100%.
this is infringing copyright. How?
If you go on and try and do it, because you can try and strike someone's, like, to see what the process is, it's really not that much at all.
It's ridiculous.
It's not as much. They need to make it so it's a big effort to do something like that, because then less people will go through the trouble of doing it, and it might clean it up, but it's not going to clean it up totally, because you're always going to have chances.
So you've got people who like hate each other, just do it for like a vendetta or
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Someone's like not some money thing that they've held against them.
I've had it done to me on
Have you?
Instagram before. I've had stuff reported and then had emails off someone. It's a little bit of a long story, but basically,
We have a long time.
Yeah. So basically, a guy that runs a podcast called.
Oh, you're gonna name? He's gonna name.
Oh yeah, I'm naming it. I'm dropping it. It was called "You Should Do a Podcast" originally.
That rings a bell.
Had to change. He had a video on your mum's house go a little bit viral, and someone kept saying to him, "You should do a podcast." His name's Ray. He's a good friend of mine, and he basically is embroiled in the cannabis industry over there.
Oh, he's in America.
So
right, yeah.
so he knows, and he's over in Chicago. He knows a lot of the main companies and stuff, and he gets sponsored by them for his podcast and
It's
stuff.
all legal over there now, isn't it?
Not in Chicago yet.
Ah.
So it's all underground sort of stuff at the moment for him, but it's in the process. So
Will be legal soon.
as soon as it goes legal, he's gonna shoot up.
So what happened?
There was someone took umbrage with him that knew him personally, and because I'd done art for his podcast, I'd spoke to him. He was like, "Oh, I need a new logo." I was like, "Here you go, mate." Gave him a logo. Didn't think anything of it. Wasn't anything intricate. He just wanted a basic logo, so it didn't take me any time. I was just doing a friend a favor. And then I started getting emails from his email being a bit abusive, and I was like, okay, you're in America. He's a keyboard warrior, obviously, because you can't. We can't sit face to face and sort this out. It was quite irreverent. It didn't really make any sense. it was more abuse than like actual coherent chat. So I was
Right.
just like, I don't know where this is coming
Like just
from.
sort of random venting.
So I messaged him where I would normally message him on Instagram, and he was like, "Oh, someone's got my details," and he's basically someone has fished
Fisted him.
someone's
Well and
fisted
truly.
him and got the information out of him.
Okay, I'll tell you.
That'd get it out of me.
To be fair,
Take whatever you want.
well, he's a very hard fella, and it took 2 fists. So someone had fished his password off his computer, someone that he knew, and was systematically going through his contacts and just messaging them abuse or making up awful stories about him and saying awful things about him. And so they had his Instagram password again. So then he had to start a new Instagram, and then he had to start a new thing. And then I started getting more emails off that email again, which he'd left that behind. He had all the new accounts. The old accounts were still messaging me. And I found out this woman that was doing it, and she started apologizing for the way she'd been, but he was abusive and all this. Complete rubbish. Just made stuff up to. And then she's like, "So I've been reporting your content." I'm like, I wondered why. I thought I was shadow banned. I don't know if you know what shadow banning is.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it exists, but some people do think it exists.
I don't think it exists.
It's the thing where Instagram, you'll feel like you're getting less engagement because you're not getting put into the hashtags that you should normally be getting put into.
Right.
I notice stuff like that because I post every day, but someone casually using Instagram probably wouldn't notice stuff like that. But if you're posting every day and you're using Instagram as a business, and suddenly you see a drop in engagement when maybe your post it should be getting more engagement than normal or whatever, then people go, "I got shadow banned. Oh my God, Instagram." Whereas I don't think it actually exists. I think it's just little glitches in the algorithm. I think they give you peaks and troughs.
Could be. They do on Facebook.
They need to regulate all. You've got to think about the amount of content that's going through their computers and stuff. So, so I thought that was being shadow banned or something was happening like that. But really, it was her. She was reporting the artwork that I'd done for his thing. She said that name was her one. It was her name. I made that name up for that podcast, so it was mine. So then she started saying that she was going to report all my artwork, regardless of what it was. And I don't know if you know how it works, but I could sit there and just report your content for no reason.
Everything you put out, just constantly.
And it would they take that as, oh, you're getting reported constantly. They don't even look into it really. No.
That's terrible.
And then it takes you 40 emails later to even sort your account out and get it sorted. So I discussed with her politely which way we were going to go forward. And
politely. You had to put the word politely in there.
We disagreed, but she stopped reporting my stuff. And then subsequently he's got police involved and sorted all of it out. It was basically a stalker situation, I think.
Right.
But
she sounds a bit stabby.
It just highlighted the problem of anyone can just at any time go,
Just
I'm
start
just going to
flagging your
report
stuff
that
up.
anyways. Yeah, I'm just going to report it. And maybe it's satire or comedy or something, and you've made a joke about people in wheelchairs. They report it. The joke's funny. You didn't mean it in a bad way. You could be in a wheelchair and be making the joke, but then they don't see the algorithms don't see the context behind it. They just take what they're programmed to do, and because it's machine learning, they change what you've told them to do in a way that's logical, not in a way that is realistic. So so that's why they end up with weird. Oh, this is now trending now. I don't know if you use YouTube a lot, but
Not well, somewhat.
have you noticed recommended videos coming up and you just being like, what is it? This video?
Very occasionally.
If you do, go down to the comments. Guaranteed, first 100 comments is going to be people going, why did YouTube just recommend me this? And it'll be recent. And that's just started recently, where for some reason you've maybe clicked on a video. I got it with It's like a YouTube channel that does camping and outdoors.
Yeah.
But it's in like a rainforest. It's a guy that makes like huts
Right.
and stuff. I can't remember what it's called, something technology. And he gets millions of views, and it's just him. There's no sound. He's just like he'll make well, no speaking.
Yeah.
And he'll just like make a clear hut.
Right. Is it
20
sped up
minute
so you
video.
can?
Yeah, it's chopped about, and it's not like just a long video of a master making it. But there's a bit of production to it. So I find them really soothing to listen to because it's just the sounds of the rainforest and him just chopping some wood or something. There's a way, and he gets loads of views, so there must be other people that find it soothing,
Of course.
or just want to live in the wild, like Ari Shafir. And then I started getting the recommendations because I'd watch one video of other people that do that.
That makes
But
sense.
then I noticed I got one from, it was like a dog YouTube channel for a YouTube channel for a dog.
An actual dog.
Yeah, that like lives outdoors. So they live in a cabin and they do YouTube videos with the dog. That popped up on my recommendations. Now, none of the words were any of the words that were in any previous videos.
Really.
Not, it was similar but not the same. And then I got one of like I think it was a glass bottle smashing. And then there was one of an experiment of throwing a basketball down a dam and seeing it like some sort of scientific effect that they explained. And they're all just random things that YouTube wants you to see, and everyone gets it.
I have heard of that's becoming a thing.
It's meant to be about what you're clicking, but it doesn't seem to be that way at all.
In fact, my missus the other day just went, I got recommended a fishing video. Pretty sure she's never been fishing.
Some people think it's what they talk about.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Like they're listening.
She's like, yeah. Well, since we got those smart speakers, which that's possible.
So, well, there's a company that advertise a little camera window that you can put on any and all of your devices. So you stick it on where your selfie cam is, and you can shut the window. Because who's to say whether that camera's on? And that's a real thing, and people are actually into that conspiracy side.
Yeah, it's like everyone puts like a sticker over all their webcams and their laptops
CIA
and all that.
could be
There's one on
watching.
here.
Is there?
There is
Have
actually.
you got
There's
one?
a Ferrero Rocher sticker.
Yeah, I put that on there.
On here.
So is that because you think that maybe someone could access it?
No, it was because I didn't want it to default. If the camera ever defaults to that, it'll be black.
It'll be black.
So you'll know.
Right. Now that's maybe the first person to do that did it because of that logical reason.
Yeah.
And someone else went, "Oh, he must be doing that because of the CIA." He went round and told everyone, and then now people do it because of the CIA. But actually, that's actually a good reason to do it.
But going back to the YouTube thing, though, it is a bit of a grey area because how are they going to police millions of videos that go up? How can
They
you?
just can't.
There's not enough people that they could hire to monitor all those videos.
Well, Joe had the woman from YouTube on, one of the main women to talk about it.
Didn't really get much resolved, did it?
No, but you kind of got a sense of
There has to be. I get that there has to be
videos.
algorithms for the recommended videos, for the policing of like racist. It does work. It does work in that respect somewhat, but as far as
well, it goes too far, doesn't it?
Yeah, because if someone could just flag up a video with no evidence that it does infringe copyright, and that gets taken down, whereas
and if you don't dispute it, they get the money for that video.
Yeah.
if you're monetized.
That's part of the reason why people do it.
So there's companies that will email you and say, you're a music artist, we will police it for you. If you give us a certain percentage, we'll police. We'll look at YouTube videos that will like search through the tags of your band and your type of music, and anyone that is using your music, we'll handle all that for you.
YouTube
We'll
do
take a
that anyway?
percentage. Their algorithm does, but it's for a company. So you notice you'll see this is copyright stricken by Atlantic Records or whatever it is. Well, this one would say by and then a company name, not a record company.
Right.
A company that is specifically made so that they reap the rewards of your copyright.
Ah, right.
and they'll handle it all for you.
Of course
That's
they
what
will.
they say.
Of course they
And
will.
they'll just get like 10% or whatever it is. I've never met someone that actually has said, yeah, you can do that. 'Cause that would
You mean
be
an idiot?
stupid. But
I've never met a genuine idiot before.
so but there's actual companies to do that, and it's vultures basically.
It's still the whole
It's a
thing.
lot of money.
The whole thing is still the Wild West.
Oh,
It's completely
which is
just,
I kind of like that a little bit.
well until they start. Until you're not getting your money that you've earned.
Yeah, but I don't think I'll ever get to that stage on YouTube. I just think it's
No, your realm is, well, you never know, but your realm is Instagram and mainly Facebook. You do Facebook as well, don't you?
I do. I've got all platforms drawn from the mind.
Oh, yeah.
and they share off.
Where's Drawn from the Mind, all one word? Like where did that come from?
So
Did you ever think
I'm-
about having Drawn from the Mind as separate words?
I'm simple, and I wanted one word, but I was like, I can't think of one word. Let's mash some words together. And because I'm drawing the ideas from my mind,
It makes
I
total
was like,
sense. I just wondered where it came from.
I'll just and I kind of used it as a thing of I'll try this out and see if it sticks. And then I noticed in some of the circles and groups on Instagram that people were calling me drawn all the time, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah, it must work. It must work. So I'll just
Yeah.
keep it.
Badly drawn
And then
boy.
well, there's other people that have drawn in their names.
Yeah.
Other artists, because we've got a Discord, a comedy content collective Discord, where you can just join as a fan or as an artist, or and we put our stuff on there as well. So with Discord, you can also have sound channels, so people can go in, speak to their favorite artists that are doing the thing. If you're a fan of it, you can go in, you can essentially meet
Virtually.
virtually
Yeah.
meet them. And speak to the people that do the art for Joe Rogan, for Joey Diaz's podcast, the animators that do it. We've got quite a lot of them in at the moment. We'll get them all. It's like
I'm
Pokemon.
sure you will. There's
we'll-
not many
we'll
of
get them
you.
all
You'll end
in.
up in the same place.
You'd be surprised how many there is.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
I can download a Photoshop app, take your face, put it on his body, and then in like 5 seconds, I could probably do that with the apps they've got nowadays. You just click the photos, boom, edit, done, and it's there. So if you've got an idea, you can put it online. So that it's full. Obviously, there's levels to it, of the professional side of it, and whether the idea is a funny idea, and whether the execution of the Photoshop is decent, or because some of the ones that I've seen for certain podcasts, this is where I don't mention the podcasts or the artists, but some of them aren't as good as what I think the comedy from that person is.
Or what it
They
deserves.
they should
do it justice.
they should have the top artists.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're getting a decent artist
Who's
that
doing
sometimes maybe phones it in. So-
Yeah. Or they're just not that good.
Yes, that's
Maybe.
what
That's a
that's
possibility.
what you're saying. So you would expect the top comedians to have the top guys, but the top artists are celebrities in their own right.
That's it. That's the digital
So-
world we live in.
You have to like straddle the I'm good enough, but I'm not so amazing that because for me, I want to work with people. I wouldn't want it to be like I'm an artist and I just do art and people would buy my prints eventually and people would,
Yeah.
but I don't want it to be that. I
You
want
want to
to
get
be
commissions
working.
from people.
Yeah, I want to
about
be
their
working
stuff.
with stuff because the way I saw it as well is if you're a cook, what way in your head you enjoy cooking, it's your job, you're a chef, can you leave a mark on that industry? In what way? You're so good at it at that specific restaurant that they're always talking about, oh, that meal that you made. Okay, that's maybe the limit of it. Or you get more stars, Michelin stars. You get some Michelin stars. So for me, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make a mark? Well, by getting my fingers in as many pies as possible.
Definitely.
And so a podcast that has my art along with it may last way longer than me, and it'll be there forever.
That's a good way to look at it, yeah.
And it's not a medium of art. if I want to go see, if you're into art, you go and seek out art. You go to places like galleries and art events. I can still put my stuff in art galleries and art events, but I've got the added thing of also when you're walking down the street, if I was that big enough and I got it on a podcast that was big enough, it could be on the side of a bus, it could be on a billboard.
Yeah.
You never know. So like I was saying before with Sam Tripoli's one that I did, that was behind them at a live show then. That's what I want. That's what I want to be able to do. But have little bits of me in different places so that they can go. And I think my stuff, I don't know if, I think it's quite, that's definitely a Drawn from the Mind one.
Yeah, I think that. The more I'm seeing of it, and especially those things that you brought today, there's definitely a style to it.
I've had a few people that send me a picture and go, was this you? And then I'm like, it is. I didn't know that was even put up. Like maybe I've done, like a company's went, I need a new logo. Can you design me a new logo? And I'll just go, yeah, of course. You've got 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'll do you a new logo. There you go. And then someone will see it and go, was that you? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And I think that's a part of the satisfaction of it. It's like, that's out there now online. Someone could be showing someone my art right now and I wouldn't know about it. They could have even posted that. That's one bad thing with Instagram.
It's like musicians with their songs that live on long past their time. So, or even not when they pass, but they're having having conversations about their music and like.
Well, yeah.
Someone might turn someone else into a fan. Nothing to do with the artist. They're not involved, other than they recreated it. But that's happening in your world
the
as well.
songs that you'll have done, they'll live on. People could still be listening to them. There's some bands as well that didn't do well at all when they were like. Obviously, you's got to a very certain level of success, but they didn't get past any stage, but they recorded the stuff, and then 50 years later, someone finds it and goes, "Oh, I'm sampling that, or I'm re-releasing that. That's amazing." Or putting it up on.
Didn't
something.
that just happen to someone called Czar or something?
Not heard of this.
50-year-old.
Okay.
Some band from the 70s that had a few
There's
minor
people that
hits.
do that though.
Some artist called
things like that.
What is the artist? Is that the artist? Oh, the old band name I can't remember.
Zar.
Some new rapper guy.
Okay.
wanted to sample his songs, and they've let him do it but he wanted to just pay them up front, but he's like, no.
No, yeah.
I want some royalties on this, which is of
smart,
course, it's your right to do that. Yeah. But it's happened, so obviously some money's just coming in from nowhere.
So you as a podcaster as well, these are out there.
Yep.
So in 50 years'
hours
time,
and hours of babble.
Someone could go, I'm researching whatever music from this area, and then suddenly just hop up on your podcast and then go, I'm going to listen to this, then share it, then someone else will read it. So that's what I wanted from my art. So I think that's what I try and do.
Happen. Is that the rain?
I think it might be.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's loud.
Yeah, I wondered what it was.
I thought we were getting just like air.
I thought that you were just farting continuously, but it was like you were letting it out really slowly.
It has been known.
Yeah,
he does. A lot of hot air does come out of him.
You were seeping it, maybe just.
Yeah, for the
Jesus Christ, that's rain.
Jesus Christ, exactly. Jesus Christ, we love you, God. That's what I would like to say.
Has he got a picture for that?
It's there.
It was at the top of the pile as well, and I moved it.
Jesus Christ.
Well, you see, this isn't very serendipitous. That he's actually, he might go missing for 3 days and come back. we don't know.
See, this is the things we just throw out there, like me saying Jesus Christ. I'm not religious, otherwise I wouldn't even dare say that.
No. But I think that's a generational thing. You get it passed down to you from parents, and you hear them saying it, and then you end up saying it, and it becomes a thing. I think we're changing now. Did you have for a hypothetical left turn in the conversation? Did you grow up with video games?
Yes.
So would you say they're for children or for adults?
Both.
But a lot of people would say they're for kids. A lot of people still have that view.
When I was a child back then, they were probably just for kids. But as they progressed, they're for everyone. Because people who liked it as kids then carried on liking it.
I'm still going to play games when I'm in my 60s.
Yeah.
I don't because that's what I enjoy.
I can't do anything as long as I've got my hands. I can play on my Xbox. I'm like,
by then you won't need your hands. You'll just plug it into your head.
Yeah. It'll be a chip inside of your head.
It'll be completely fine.
Of course it
I
will.
mean, I don't know if you played VR stuff.
A little bit. I dabbled with it a
It is-
little bit.
We went for my actual stag do / bachelor party for you US listeners. For my
Has to be
actual
everywhere
one,
now.
for my actual one, we went to Manchester to a place called Arcade Club,
Right.
and that's like got 3 levels, 2 or 3 levels, and one is like Pac-Man.
Can you make a note of this? Because I'll
Arcade Club. There's one in Leeds as well.
I want to look this up.
And there's Pac-Man, there's
Thanks,
Mario, there's like all the
All the classics.
the classic arcade machine games.
Yeah.
Time Crisis,
Oh.
like all those sort of bangers that you're like,
Yeah.
amazing. Then you go up a level and there's like LAN PCs, so you can just sit down
Now you're
with a group
talking.
of 10 mates and play. They had like
Quake.
Counter-Strike, they had Quake, they had Unreal Tournament,
Call of Duty.
and then they had the like AAA titles, like Call of Duty. Then they had quirky indie stuff like PUBG,
Of course.
stuff like that.
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
They had Fortnite on there, which
Of
we
course.
didn't play, but
No.
you know.
I never got into that.
And they had VR, so we got to like play. And the one that I went on quite a few times was the driving one. So because the seat moved, and obviously we've had them since we were young, where you could buy a steering wheel and have it in your house, and you would have force feedback or whatever
Yeah.
it was called.
Of course.
It was kind of like that, but then you've got the headphones in that are like 360 sound, and then you've got your Oculus Rift, I think it was, that we were using, and obviously people could watch you doing the thing, and it was a rally one, and I was like,
You just want like on a track, a normal track, wouldn't
yeah, I
you?
wanted like something. In fact, what I wanted was like to be able to go on GTA and do it. 'cause I think
That would be brilliant.
that would be class.
I'm just going to
But-
run him over.
Well, yeah, but hang on, I just said, well, yeah, about running someone over. I just want to let everyone know that if I was on GTA, I would plow way more than one person over. And they have animals in the newest one, so you can like hit a dog and a cat.
Yeah.
So that's before you veer off into the sea.
Yeah, of course.
But this was a rally one, and it was just really sensitive, and you had to do the gears and everything. You
Oh,
had a
it's
gear
hard. That is
stick.
hard.
But it just made you think that games have came on so much that you could be. There could
Absolutely.
be a time where you just plug your
Plug
head
in.
in, or
Like the film about that.
Tron,
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, right?
That
okay.
kind of where you actually go in. That's what they were
Yes.
doing. They were
Yes.
and they were in. That's I can see that happening.
Hopefully in our lifetime.
Yes, that would be cool.
I'd love to do that. That would be perfect. Because it's not even just for like gaming, really. It's for
For
experiences.
everything. You could do it for everything. Oh, that's just reminded me. Darren Horn recommended a film with Justin Timberlake called In Time.
Yeah.
I watched it yesterday because it was on Prime.
Okay.
It just
Is it a new?
That's-
oh,
yeah, this is
oh,
another- this is
hang
another-
on, hang on. Is it a sci-fi one?
Yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Well, yeah. It's,
Have you seen it?
I've seen bits of it.
This
Great,
is
think
great,
I've seen it.
apparently, a great concept, poor execution.
Okay.
this is another weird thing going back to something we've just mentioned.
Okay.
It was in my list of stuff to watch, and I hadn't searched for it, and I hadn't seen it there before.
Oh.
Then I come here and talk about it on a podcast. Then it shows up in my Amazon Prime.
The
Really?
lizards. The lizard
I was
people.
about
Hang
to
on a
hit
minute.
search, and I saw it at the bottom. I was like, "That's weird."
So, is that you just that being random, but then you connect it in your head with
Could be.
something, or is it, you know,
Is
There
everything
must
is
be
everything
a
listening? Is my phone listening to me while I was here
Probably.
doing the podcast?
cat porn, cat porn, cat porn,
Stop it! Stop
Cat
it!
porn.
Stop!
Yeah, that'll come up in a few weeks.
But anyway, yeah.
Asian
yeah,
octopus.
What you said was right, Tech. It was a pretty good film. It could have been a lot better, but the concept is fantastic. Have you aware of
I
it?
think I've seen it. I
So
roughly
you're born with
remember
like
a bit.
you're born with a clock
Yes,
on your
yes,
arm.
I do know. I do know. Yes.
I think I can't remember. It skipped over it a bit with babies. It didn't start. It doesn't start until you get to a certain age. Then it starts counting down.
Yes.
And then everything you do, I think it's 25 when you get to 25 or maybe
Okay.
18. I don't know. Then it starts counting down. And you've got I don't know what it starts off on, but everything you do is for time. to
And you could
keep your time.
buy more. It wasn't buy more time. You got
Well, you
it
could buy
weekly or
time.
something, was
You
it?
could buy time, but you could and you can touch arms with someone and get some of their time.
Right. Okay.
You could gamble time,
okay.
win time. Someone gifted him like 100 hours or 100,000 hours or something like that.
Right.
So then he became a fugitive because everyone wanted all all this.
His
'Cause-
time.
But anyone who had loads of time was rich.
Yes.
So I remember there was
right.
once. What's he worth? A zillion. He's a zillionaire. Or was it no? He's worth eons
Right.
of time.
Right. Okay.
So instead of
okay.
billions
Yeah,
of
yeah,
money,
yeah.
it was just. It was a really cool concept.
That is a good concept.
So
that is a
the
good
the difference of things, like people's time was running out. Like I've only got minutes to live, so I need to go and sell my
Yeah,
earrings or
it's
something.
not a scene where someone dies. Like
Yeah, his mum.
it just dies
Oh,
there.
Spoiler if
Oh,
anyone's going to
no.
watch this now. Whoops.
I just
Ding.
I led you down that path. I wanted
Yeah,
you
you
to
did.
spoil it.
Yeah. No, but yeah. So that obviously that could happen. But they were in a dodgy part of a town where if you had a certain amount of time, they would like rob you for it.
It-
So everything
It's-
was the same. It was just
it's-
time instead of
it's-
money.
It's obvious. It might be there might be a metaphor there for certain way things in society. I think in capitalism in general.
Of course.
But I mean, with my capitalism metaphors, I do enjoy a little bit of Justin Timberlake.
To be
So
fair,
was he good in it?
yeah, he was all right. He was all right. He held his own. I wasn't it was like it didn't ruin it for me that his acting wasn't terrible. Where I was like, I can't watch this because he's fucking
Justin
shit.
Timberlake.
No, it was all right.
Off.
It was fine. But yeah, it's a good film. You seen any good films recently that have bended your mind?
It takes a lot to bend my mind. I've got a collection of like 500 films that I got
500?
that I got through Amazon from when I was about 10 till I was about 20. I just used to buy them on Amazon DVDs, but they're all Asian films of foreign cinema. So there's a few French ones in there, a few Russian ones, and I just used to find the weirdest films and just watch them. Because
I do like do that sometimes.
for some reason, I had it in my head where if I see the most extreme things, then if anything extreme ever happens,
it doesn't seem
it's
that
not going to
extreme.
affect me as much. I'm going to be able to compose myself more.
But the other argument is, if you see too much of it, it just makes you go nuts.
I'm not that sensitive to it.
Okay.
I probably am a little bit nuts in the first place, and that's why
If
it
you're not that
doesn't affect
sensitive
me.
anyway, then it doesn't really matter to you.
So there's a film called Martyrs, which I'm going to spoil, but I'm only going to
Let me
spoil.
tell you now, I'm going to spoil this shit.
By spoiling it, you're going to want to watch it.
Okay.
It doesn't spoil the story. It's just one specific thing that happens.
Okay.
So
It's called what?
Martyrs.
Right, okay.
Martyrs. Basically, at one point, this woman gets her skin peeled from her body.
Oh, lovely.
Like fully.
This sounds delightful.
Like fully. So one of them is Martyrs. One of them is Martyrs. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So stuff like that, I was like, yeah. So I would seek out odd films. So some of them would cross over with people that like normal films, like Old Boy. I don't know if you've seen that.
Nope,
You haven't seen Old Boy,
never heard of it.
I've heard of Old Boy.
right? So there is a little bit of a crossover
Right.
with people that don't watch Asian cinema, and then so there's stuff Battle Royale.
Yep.
Yep.
I've
So
seen
there's that. They're a bit more popularized in our culture than the other films that I've got. There's one called Gozu, and at one point there's a guy with a cow head, and he's naked and he just licks this woman, and it's a whole like 6-minute scene. To get through that, you've got to be a bit of a champion. In the same film, I'll spoil it again. Why not? I really
Your
like it.
nickname is
though.
the spoiler.
Yeah, I am the spoiler. And at the end, what a female? I want to put this in a really nice way. So a female character.
He's struggling, people. He's struggling.
A female character is having sexuals with a male character.
Sexuals.
Honest,
You don't say.
if I
I'm sitting back in my chair. I'm getting relaxed here.
if I said it a bit more raw than this, I think it would hit you in a different way. So I'm going to try and say it politely.
Right,
So
okay.
she's having sexuals with this guy, and he's on top, and she's got her legs up, and he like stops, and he's like, oh. So I'm going to do the Japanese sound effects for you. It's not racist. I'm just doing it from the film. Oh, and gets really panicky. And then when he pulls himself out of her orifice, there's a hand on his member, right? So then he goes, ooh, and like runs back, like sits back in the corner. And he's breathing heavily because obviously he's just been touched by the vagina hand. The womb fingers. And and he's shocked, as you would be,
Oh my god.
as you would be.
As I am now.
You were very shocked, and then slowly, the hand turns, and it comes from her perspective over her shoulder, and you just see the hand go in,
Ugh.
and then that's one for you, and then slowly, you see a head coming out of her. A guy, so his eyes first, and then his full face, and he's like shaking, there's liquid on him, and then he's moist. I should have done this in ASMR, and then he crawls out of her. It's
Wow.
and then cut to the last scene of the film. They're all holding hands shopping in a mall.
Oh my god. What do you watch?
Go Zoo.
I'm gonna write that down.
So yeah, I do watch
You
weird
write it
films.
down.
Definitely
I'm gonna
write it
check
down.
Go Zoo.
When you're talking about watching weird shit to sort of like, I suppose, toughen you up,
Yes.
desensitize you from something
Yes.
you do actually see. I've got to the point now where I think I've seen enough. I don't need
You don't
to
wanna see anymore.
You know, sometimes you come across stuff that's going viral, shocking leg break, or his jaw falls
Yeah.
off, or watch him get punched in the face. and
No,
he's-
I can't.
I'm like,
I can't watch them. I can't
don't-
watch pimple popping videos either.
That doesn't bother me. But just most things like that, I'm like, I don't need to see any more of these.
No.
I've been shocked enough and horrified, and I don't. Actually, for the first
You're at your
time,
limit.
I'm actually gonna have to go and take a piss.
Oh,
This is
nice.
the first time
Is that
ever.
Water.
What's water? That's for you.
Yes.
You two
Perfect.
can talk
Okay.
amongst
Do
yourselves.
you want me
about
to describe another film? and spoil
yeah,
it?
Go
you
on,
can, and talk
let's-
about
yeah,
shit that
let's
should
do
never be
it.
seen, or that stuff that you can't unsee.
So
I totally forgot that I'd seen Battle Royale. That takes me back a few years.
that is a good film.
It's alright.
Amazing film.
It's because I watched the Hunger Games and everyone said, "Oh, it's just Battle Royale."
It's just Battle Royale, but
so,
yeah.
okay, I'll watch that.
And what did you think? Did you think it was similar, or do you see?
I did see the similarities. Yeah.
Did you
but I thought-
prefer Battle Royale to Hunger Games?
As far as like an enjoyable film goes, I think Hunger Games was better,
Okay.
but Battle Royale was also a good watch, just because of how odd it was.
So that is really low on the odd scale when it comes to Asian cinema, as I've just
Yeah,
As I've just described.
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
but there's I think I went from martial arts films into that. That's what I transitioned into.
Okay.
So I was like watching Bruce Lee films. Then it went on to like I think I went through a phase of Jet Li.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what other martial arts films can I find? And then I watched one called Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it.
That kind of melds the oddness of Asian cinema
Yeah.
and a normal kung fu movie.
Uh-huh.
So then I think from seeing that, I was like, I need to go back and find all these odd movies to see if there's anything that like may strike me in a way where I go, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
There's a few French ones that I've got. There's one called Science of Sleep. That's a bit odd.
Okay.
That's a recommendation.
I think I saw an artwork of that. Is that in here?
Yes, that'll be in there. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's one in there which is of Kurt Russell from Bone Tomahawk. I don't know if you've ever seen that one either.
No.
That's another weird
No.
one, but that's more westernized one. They get captured by cannibals in that one. So there's a few good scenes.
Delightful stuff you like.
Oh, yeah. If you type in like the top 10,
I'm not
most-
typing in anything you've recommended so far. Just
Well,
it's not happening.
you don't need to because I've spoke about it, and your
Yeah.
microphone has been picking it up this whole
I'll
time.
be on Amazon Prime when I get home.
Exactly. So a lot of movies that I watch are gruesome and weird, but I always find with Asian ones, if you can see past the weirdness of it, they do actually tell us story sometimes a little bit better. You do feel a bit more emotional. I do find that with anime as well. Like I watch a lot of anime. Like
Right.
One Punch Man's just in season 2 now, and that's really good. If
This
you
is
ever
another
wanna,
language
if you
to
want
me.
to ever jump into anime, go straight in at One Punch Man. It's amazing. Basically, it's about a guy that can defeat someone with one punch.
No way.
That is
Every
incredible.
time.
Never a guess.
Every time.
That sounds interesting.
It's very comedic also.
It was really weird listening to my own podcast from the toilet. What I need,
First
need
time
to-
for everything.
I can tell you, looking out the window, it's absolutely bouncing out there. It's
Nice.
ridiculous.
Oh,
It's like
great British summer.
makes me think of like floods.
Oh no! See,
not- I don't
that's
think there will
always
be. I don't think
no,
there will
but
be,
that's
but-
always a concern now, isn't it?
Jesus Christ! It's like I've not seen rain like that for a long,
Any of
long
you
time.
been affected by floods?
No, nope.
In any of the floods?
I know people who have, but
Yeah.
not me, not
Yeah.
personally.
We kind of missed it.
I haven't.
You live right in the middle of town now, so.
Yeah, so it's fine. The only inconvenience to me was when the Emont Bridge was having work
Yeah,
done to
that,
it.
you had
So
to
that
huge, a
you
massive
couldn't-
detour.
Yeah, massive. That was it.
And there was actually. Did you remember there was a huge pothole when you come off the A66
Where
towards
isn't there a
Broome?
huge pothole?
Yeah.
around
But there was a
here?
particular one there where, on multiple. I mean, it was like we had to do that for like 3 months or something before they got the bridge sorted.
Yeah.
A massive pothole bigger than like a car tire, where I saw must have been 3 or 4 cars that the wheel had come off because they'd gone over it
Just
because they didn't
straight
see
in
it.
Oh my god.
Like the one I once saw a Mini that was like leaning right into
There
it.
is there's a massive pothole in Cumbria called Penrith.
It's a little bit of a bump in the road.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what have you got? Like, what's keeping you busy at the moment? Is it just the
Well,
same stuff,
I
or
just-
have you got?
I have a schedule. So
Oh, this is what I was going to ask about your workflow.
So I draw on a schedule based on what podcasts come out on what days. Now they do differ sometimes, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, we've put one up late" or whatever. But I basically go through Monday to Friday doing podcast stuff, and then at the weekend I can decide to put roundups of my weekly stuff.
Yes, I
on
saw
the
that,
s-
like a collage
yes,
sort of thing. Yeah,
on the Sunday. So, and that usually, if a comedian hasn't seen it by then, they'll see it through the compilation. So then I'll get the likes and shares from that.
Right.
I don't want the likes and shares. What I want is them seeing it. I want their attention. I want the people that I admire to go, "Oh, that's funny." That's
Yeah.
what I want. And I've been lucky enough that my style and the ideas and the way I do them grab the attention of the people that I admire. And I've spoke to people that I never ever thought I would ever speak to.
That's cool.
And so through doing that workflow though, and having that thing of watch a podcast, draw whilst you're watching the next podcast, listen,
Right.
and then watch. And I normally watch. I prefer to watch than listen, because there's an extra dimension to it when people animate themselves over something, and if it's a certain bit, you can see a bit more emotion than when you listen to it. So I tend to watch them rather than listen to them. And then I get to the end of the week and I'm like, I've got about 10 ideas that I haven't been able to do, because there's that many things in the podcast.
You can't do them all.
You can't at all.
So you got to pick your best.
Yes, and you have to watch out that you're not going to do the same sort of stuff as what the artist that
Yeah,
works
because
for the
if
thing
it's
does.
too obvious, you know other people are going to be doing it.
Yeah, and you don't want any. I've had it before where people have been like, "Oh, you've stolen my idea."
How can you prove that though?
Well, you can go back and look when I drew it, and then realize that you drew it 5 days after. That's happened to me a few times now. So I
See,
went.
but even though you might have not stolen an idea,
Oh,
it just
that's
so
it's
just
a happy
so
coincidence.
happens
That's
that,
what it is. It's just like they had the same idea.
I
as
mean,
me.
there's enough of us on this planet. We're always going to come up with the same stuff sometimes.
100%.
Say the same thing, draw the same picture, write the same song.
Exactly.
just-
Well, yeah. There's all this stuff with Ed Sheeran at the moment that I've been seeing with him getting sued. He's been through about 3 lawsuits now, I think, where they say that the melody is similar to a previous melody.
Welcome to the world of pop music. Jesus
So
Christ.
well, exactly. That's the whole point. It's like everything has a basis somewhere. How do you think new music is made? They listen to the music before and they go, "All right, I can improve or change that." People don't always go, "Ooh, this is new," and just come up with something new. They use what's been before as a basis and then build on that, change things. One of them, I think it was something stupid, like the chord structure was the same, but one of them was just slightly off. But then they said that was similar enough, so we need some of the money for that song.
Yeah, isn't it Richard Ashcroft and the
Okay.
Verve? Haven't they just? I think it's been going on long enough now that they've granted him back the rights and the royalties to Bittersweet Symphony.
Okay.
Did you know the story about that?
No,
You know
go ahead.
the symphony in that song is taken from the Rolling Stones.
Okay.
So,
So he didn't even have the rights to that.
well, he did it first, but he didn't ask permission. Well, there was some discrepancy where he didn't get the right permission, so they
Okay.
said, not only are we taking all future royalties from this, you're going to backdate it and give us all the money that you've made from it. So, however, that song's what, 98, 97, something like that.
Oh my God.
So since and only this year they've come up to agreement where they've said, okay, now we'll give you permission to take future royalties from this
That's going
song.
to be a lot of money, I'm guessing.
It's not think
It's
of
a
the money
very
he's missed
popular
out on,
song. Yeah, well,
all
yeah.
because he didn't ask in the right way. If he'd gone through the right channels, he'd probably be a lot richer than he is now.
So that's a good parallel for some of the artists and video makers and meme makers on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
They do similar premises because it's from something from a podcast.
It's
But
topical.
A lot of the time, they've seen your work, and they'll do something based on seeing your work, which is fine for them to do because it's their own style. Most of them change.
It's their
and different.
interpretation of it.
And if they're nice enough to go, which a lot of people are, saw that, for instance, I saw Drawn From the Mind do something like that. So I decided to do my version. Perfect. No one can complain about that. I would never complain about something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone outright does the same thing, doesn't credit you, and you know that they've seen it on your, like you've got the like from them, they've commented on it, and then 2 days later it pops up, they've done it exactly the same.
Yeah.
You kind of have to have some odd conversations. And because it's online, and especially Insta DM, there's some disconnection there where people can just ghost you.
Of course.
So, and you're always thinking about that. So you have to really, really word things correctly.
Or sometimes you have to go public.
I don't ever do that.
No, but it depends. If it was your livelihood and it was a soul where you made money and someone was fucking with it, at some point you might have to stand up for your art.
Yes.
And I'm sure you would.
There is processes though. If you got to that stage, like that height in your career, there's processes behind the scenes that you can do to recover things like that.
Intellectual property.
At the level that I'm at now, I don't have. It would be a waste of my money to use those processes.
And time.
I wouldn't be getting anything back from it. So you kind of, a lot of the time, you kind of have to just go, yeah, I'll let them have that.
But
I'll let them have it.
99 times out of 100, they ain't going to be doing it as good as you did it anyway. Plus,
Yes,
because it's digital, it's documented that you put it out first anyway. So
there's been a few things with. Do you follow any of the Joe Rogan accounts on Instagram? So you'll follow
maybe one or two.
You'll follow Joe Rogan,
Yes.
obviously. Do you follow Powerful Joe Rogan?
Yes.
He's part of our collective.
Is that the one who does the
He just clips.
clips
So
on
he'll
YouTube
take-
as well?
Yes. Well, there's two. There's JRE
I was gonna
clips,
say,
which
yeah.
is different. So JRE clips is on
I was gonna ask
Instagram
about
as
that.
well. So Powerful, as I call him, he just does the clips. He does it for himself. Like it's not like he's being asked to do it. He's not part of their team. He does it because he loves it, and obviously it's got really popular. He's got a lot of followers, a lot of influence and power comes with that, and so he gets people all the time going, Joe, like talking to him like he's Joe Rogan, but he's not Joe Rogan at all. And he has to kind of remind
Mr. Powerful.
them. Yeah. Powerful Esquire. And in it, so he'll get DMs all the time, people thinking he's Joe Rogan, and he's not. Even if you look on his bio, it'll say, follow Joe Rogan. So he's even telling you, follow Joe Rogan, don't follow me.
Mhm.
I'm just a clips page. If you want to follow me, that's fine. But here's the actual person that makes the content. Now, some people have, and I subscribe to this a little bit, an opinion that he doesn't make any content.
He repurposes it.
Yeah. Now, does he change enough for it to be his own? American law, you depend on which state you're in.
Of course.
It gets very, very complicated. My wife's a solicitor, so
That's handy.
I have to hear legal stuff, and I
Yeah,
have done
yeah.
for years. So, and it's interesting. So, so
absolutely.
when I started doing this, I have to think about stuff like that, like copyright, and so specifically, I think in California, you've got to change 5 things. As long as you've changed 5 things, you can claim it's fair use, and then could be a grey area, and it'll go either way. But you can't put someone else's work up without changing certain things. And it has to be transformative in a way that's conducive to your view, not theirs. So if you clip a load of stuff up from this podcast of us talking, but it's just you, they're just clipping you as if you're talking to yourself, which someone does.
Yes.
Technically, you're transforming his content into his content. You're not doing it in your own way. You're just clipping something he's put out there. You're not filtering it. You're not. If you make them, there's a weird grey area where if you're making them say something that they haven't said, that's okay, because you're creating a whole sentence and
I've seen that done before as well.
Deep fakes as well. They're quite in at the moment, where you put someone's face over another person's face.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of computing to do that, and days. You have to have reference photos from every angle, really good photos, to be able to get a good deep fake on someone's face. A girl in our collective called Jenna Sunday, she works VFX, so she knows about how to do all these sort of things, so she talks about it sometimes. And it's really funny what you can do, like putting people. I don't know if you've seen any of the ones where they put like Joey Diaz's face on Nate Diaz in the ring in UFC and stuff like that. Yeah. That takes that's a lot of time. You need mega computers to do, like, well, not mega, but you need a really good computer to be able to process that in the time it's taken these guys to put them out. Some of them aren't as good as others because they don't have as many photos, or they're not as good as pinning the mask on. But is that would you, if I just put my face on your face and it's the same clip of you talking, would you say that that's different?
Well, it's a great. Yeah, you're right. It's a matter of opinion, isn't it?
So
is that powerful? Is he making money though? Because he gets hundreds of thousands of views as well. Or has he come to sort of an arrangement with Rogan to say?
There's other people in our collective than powerful that do the same sort of stuff where they'll clip things. Some people change it enough so that it is their own stuff, and they monetize their stuff because that's what they do for a living. As far as I'm concerned with him and the conversations we've had, he's just doing it as a hobby. He wants to be part of Joe Rogan's team, I think. That's his target. And you would think that by doing, because he is in a way doing a good service and giving him more eyes on the Joe Rogan.
It gets a lot of views.
It's been going. He's been doing it for a while as well.
And there's adverts on the videos as well. So there's been money being made somewhere.
It depends. The JRE clips ones.
Yeah. And powerful JRE.
Yeah, so some of them, they're all different people, and it's really hard. There's like it's like a conspiracy thing again, where it's like, is powerful and JRE clips the same person, or is this person?
Yeah.
But I'm lucky enough to have been talking with certain ones, but even then, it's not like I've seen their faces.
And you couldn't prove it.
So, and there has been some controversies where someone used someone else's work without asking within the group and stuff, or someone's noticed someone's using it as an ad, so they're getting money off that, and we just discuss it within the group and hope that it gets sorted. And some people have been in the group and then came out of the group because of certain things. But I'm going to say he doesn't monetize anything. Okay? That's what I'm saying. And I'm going to stick to that. I don't think he monetizes it.
Right.
But he does have ads on his Instagram. And he does sometimes use other people's images on those ads. And he is a On It affiliate. So,
right.
But I'm going to say that I think he doesn't monetize it. But if you look at his account, you would think it was monetized. But I don't know if it is or it isn't. Whenever I've spoke to him, he just says, I just do this for fun because I want to really be part of his team. But I think he's very business-minded because he doesn't mind throwing content out there and just to get views and get some.
But anyway, he is helping the channel either way.
Oh yeah, they all are in certain ways. There is one called JRA Clips that I've not spoke to. That's quite new, but that has rose up.
Because people want to see. I think
They want to
most people like the small clips of. Cause
And
some
it's
people, for
finding
some
the
people,
right
3
bits.
hours is just too long. They're
Yes,
not gonna.
no,
but they
100%.
would like snippets of what's been spoken about, and that's quite often what you see being
and they
shared.
can be quite powerful clips, can't they? So when
course.
they have like David Goggins on, when he has someone like that where
Yeah.
he's talking about being motivational, you can take a clip like that and get 20 million views easy. And if you've monetized your account,
Wow.
then you're making 20 grand maybe off each video, depending on
Yeah.
what your CPM is.
Well, actually, that reminded me. Going back to what you were saying about Spotify, it's not a lot what the musicians get, but
No.
it has gone up recently, and
Oh, okay.
it is still a way to make some money. So it's never going to replace CD sales, but people
yeah,
are.
it's a valid form.
And
yeah.
what you were saying about playlists, that's a big thing to get on playlists these days. Is if it's a popular playlist and it's got hundreds of thousands of people following it, and your song ends up on there, you could get a good
it's
chunk
gonna
of
give you a
change on
big
that.
boost,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. It's still. I mean, you're never going to have to just solely rely on it. So
No.
it becomes part of your revenue, one of your revenue streams.
So I've just thought of a business. Okay, we're going to start it right now.
Okay.
We're going to make white noise tracks for people to sleep to, and we're going to release them on Spotify playlists.
Mm-hmm.
You think that valid?
Are
Do
people
you
going
think
to
we'd
want to
make
listen to
money?
white noise?
That was me subtly checking to see if you're one of those types of people. Do you
Oh.
know anyone that listens to white noise to go to sleep?
Not to go to sleep. The only people who listen to white noise are people who are under SAS interrogation.
So I know of multiple people that listen to, we'll start at the low end, okay, that listen to music to go to sleep to. Leave a film on.
Yeah.
Leave the TV on. Put the hairdryer on.
Yeah.
I jumped up a few levels there. I don't know if you noticed. Leave a hairdryer on.
Hairdryer.
A fan. People leave fans on. I need a fan. I can't sleep unless I've got the fan on. The white noise of that helps them sleep for some reason. And I think it's something to do with, I've read articles and stuff. I think it's something to do with you when you're a baby and or when you're asleep as a baby, what sounds are going on around you if you're living in a noisy home versus to a quiet home and stuff like that. And some people can be triggered by certain noises and it makes them sleep better. So I think that would be a good little company if you had white noise tracks, because they would get played every night.
Yeah. So almost like various sound effects and stuff.
And when you go to sleep, you leave it on.
Yeah. I've read about this before. A lot of it comes from the constant noise in the womb.
Right. Okay.
There's constant noise in the womb, like heart beating, blood flowing.
Yes.
You're in water. You're surrounded by
Okay.
water. So some people, like I like listening to waterfalls and running water,
Right, okay, so
or the
it's the
sound
same
of
thing,
pouring
yeah.
rain.
Similar
I love
thing.
stuff like that. Or
Perfect.
the beach.
Have you just been nodding off slowly throughout the podcast?
Yeah, because it's raining outside. But
I'm trying to
that
keep
is
you
that
awake.
is a thing. And actually, I remember a house that I lived in when I was a kid.
Mm.
The central heating was really loud, but I liked it.
Oh, okay, you like that sound.
It was like a constant rumbling in the back. It's actually, have you on the smart speakers? Have you had the Starship Enterprise sound? You know when they're on the ship, there's a constant like a.
Right. Okay.
You can
You can
play
get
start.
that?
You can get that.
Okay,
Feels like
nice.
you're on any. If you're looking, I don't know about all. I only used to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation.
And why do people listen to that? But the only way to get the perfect nerd boner
Yeah,
is to
probably.
listen to that sound.
But if you listen to The Next Generation, any scene that's on the ship
It's always
has got
in
that
the
constant
background.
rumbling in the
Right,
background.
okay.
So that's to replicate
Now that I'm
that.
thinking about that, I know what you mean, because I used to watch Next Generation all the time even when I was little. And now I think about the episodes. I can hear the sound in my head
A scene
now.
would
I can
start,
hear
and the
it.
first thing you'd hear would be the engine. They're in
Hmm.
space, they're moving before anyone would say anything. So it's already there. But
But
going
you
back
can
to
listen
this
to
when I was a kid, this central heating, I got accustomed to it, and it got to the point where I wouldn't know it was there until it went off.
Oh, and then you
I'd go,
like,
oh.
where's
I want the heating to come
my
back on.
soothing sound?
If I was just dropping off to sleep, and sometimes it would go off, and I go, oh, heating's gone off. I can't get to sleep now. No, it wouldn't get that bad. It would take me.
There are people out there, though,
yeah,
that are
of
like
course,
that.
of
Yeah.
course. People are so specific about stuff, but it
So
would
I
it
think
would
that
affect
would
me.
be. I think that would be a good maybe a central heating sound as well. as part.
Yeah,
of
you could do
we could
various
maybe
sound
do
effects.
that.
You could create. Are we going to set up a? Are we set up
Yeah,
a business
we'll
here?
say-
Making
we'll-
sound
it's
effects?
already
Yeah,
set up.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
already
okay.
set up. It's already done.
Central heating. Well, you can already get there like thunder, water.
Yeah, but I want
fire.
to. I want to go into the really niche areas. Creaky stairs.
Creaky stairs,
Alright.
old dial-up sounds.
Yep. 2 people copulating 3 houses down.
Yeah.
So that's going to be maybe you might not even pick that up, but you're gonna
Inside,
just gonna kind
inside
of
of
hear
a
it.
inside of a pub.
That'd be a good one.
Cats fighting down the road.
Cats flying down the
Making
road.
really weird noises.
Jehovah's Witness knocking on the door.
And no, Jehovah's Witnesses getting doors slammed in their face 24 hours a day.
That comes at the end of the track, so you're asleep.
I
and
have
then,
to hold my hands up to those guys. Their persistence, going around from street to street, door to door, constantly getting a door slammed in their face. And the only time anyone does talk to them or invite them in is to just humour them. That's all I ever hear.
or if they're old and lonely and they need someone to speak
Well,
to.
yeah, there is that.
They're basically the physical embodiment of a Facebook ad. That's basically what they are.
It's going to show up on your door.
But yeah.
You go, yeah, but I never searched for this.
So you would have the knocking sound, and then you would have the slam like 4 hours later in the track, so that when they're
Yeah.
asleep they just wake up and
Conversation.
go, what's going on?
You never hear any. No other religion knocking on your door trying to push their stuff.
I mean, I don't know if you can call it a religion, but politicians do it.
Yeah, only at election time though.
Sometimes you get the odd
I get this
busybody.
I get this shit through my door. There's leaflets of people I've never heard of. All of a sudden, they want me to vote for them.
Well, yeah,
I've never heard them for like the last 4 years, and all of a sudden they want me to vote.
You've got to put your tick somewhere. Apparently,
You don't have to. You don't have to do shit.
Exactly. But so yeah, we could have that sound. What other sounds? Curtains shutting.
Curtain shutting. People arguing.
People arguing. That would be a good one.
Fights.
I would be happy doing that.
Traffic.
Like being part of that.
If you
Just
put that,
starting
if you
the
put that
arguments.
on Spotify and all,
People just listen to it.
there
in the
would be
background.
like sound
That's-
effects. People like sound effects.
That's
and-
why the top YouTubers are the top YouTubers, because kids will put their video on and it'll be on autoplay, and then 4 hours later
it's still on.
it's still on, and it's been through. And if they've got small videos, they can get through quite a few videos. And if they like that one video, they're always going to go to that. How do you soothe a child? You try and find the thing that soothes them. And a lot of children these days, it's an iPad with a certain video.
Of course.
And I think the second top YouTube, we were looking at it the other day on Social Blade. I don't know if you use Social Blade to look at your stats on YouTube, but
No, I heard of that.
you can basically just type in a YouTuber's name and it will come up with their stats, how much money they make, what views they get,
Alright.
and you can see trends and stuff like that. And it can help you with the plan that you use for
I
your
see.
for your
Right,
socials.
okay.
It doesn't just work with YouTube either. It can show Twitch stats and stuff. But I think one of the top YouTubers is Ryan's Toys. It's called, and it's just a kid that
Oh,
reviews
yeah.
toys.
I've heard of this.
So-
Yeah.
and
I didn't know his name, but
did it when he was younger, and now he's maybe 4 or 5, 6 now. Still does
He's a
it.
veteran now.
Yeah. I mean, he's retiring soon. But he's obviously his parents will get that money and they'll give it to him when he's old enough to have it. But that's from kids going, oh, I really want that toy. I really want that toy.
Yeah.
Typing the toy in on YouTube, go straight to his video.
Yeah.
Watching
Millions
that video,
and
just
millions.
watching it, and it's on autoplay, so it'll just be playing on. People use playlists on YouTube all the time,
Yeah.
and if like with the Spotify thing, if you're in that playlist, you're going to get played. You're going to be getting these spikes of views, and you're going to wonder why. And it's because someone that's a big maybe Spotify playlist person, because they have their own people, don't they, that curate playlists. But then you also you can follow other people's, can't you?
Yes.
So-
Public playlists.
So there's bound to be people that are actually kind of semi-famous in their own right for having playlists that have being good at making a playlist on Spotify.
Yeah, basically.
There's bound to be that
Of course.
somewhere.
Yeah, there will, definitely.
And so if you get your song in one of their playlists, and people always go to their playlist.
I mean, we
then
do have the adult
yeah.
version of that, the unboxing.
Right, okay.
Are you not familiar?
Unbox Therapy
Yes.
is the one that I watch. Yeah, that one.
Well, like there's loads of them, but that's just the adult version of us watching new stuff being on.
I don't like watching people unbox things. I like people talking about the product as they unbox things.
Of course, yeah.
But
Yeah, I do. as
there
well.
is there
There's
is
a huge difference.
small subset of human, I think they're human, that watch it just to, I can hear the
packaging
the
opening.
packaging
Oh, God.
opening, and then
No, I
like,
want
the
people to review it.
rustling.
Actually, I haven't really done that before. The only time was when I was about to get Alexa.
Oh, okay. So you're like, right, okay.
I'd already ordered it and it was coming. So I thought I'd watch some people unboxing it and talking about the various things they can do, and that was really useful.
Yeah, you can get tips and tricks.
So
and
that's
stuff.
its intended purpose.
But
and it
there is
worked.
people, and I follow one of them, that go into Poundland and B&M and buy all the toys and then review them.
Wow.
So unofficial dinosaur toy, unofficial Jurassic Park toy, and he'll open it up and he'll review. He'll be like, the legs aren't very pliable compared to the official version, and you're just like, how is it? I watch it just to be in awe of the fact that he's making a video about that.
That this is even a thing.
Yeah, like, how is this even a thing? People take the mick out of it, and I've seen parody videos of people being like, "Oh, I'm gonna review this firework,"
There's always
and then it
parodies of
blows up
things.
or something. But like, I just can't. I wouldn't ever think of doing something like
No.
that. There's people that do it with the guy that went viral with the chicken shop reviews. There was a guy called Pengest Munch.
He's interested. He was called what?
Pengest Munch. So that was the YouTube channel, and he'd go. It was kind of comedy based, really, but he would literally go in there and like buy a chicken meal, and then he would like review the burger, and he'd be like, "Oh, this burger's mad dry, fam," and he got like there were good videos, and he's a little bit of a like YouTube celebrity, and he's been on some TV now because of it as well. It blew up a little bit, but there's loads of food reviewers, but not people that are actually reviewing proper food. Like they'll go into like a B&M or something like that, and they'll look for the odd snacks. Like, oh, I found a white Twix, and they'll do a 10-minute video talking about a white Twix whilst eating a white Twix, and I'm thinking, how can you spend your time doing that? And
Why would you spend
and
your
at the
time?
end of the day, be like, I've been productive today.
Well, if it's getting a lot of views and you can make some money from it. If it's,
I don't think there's evidence of that.
No.
But having subscribed to some of these channels,
do they get many views?
A good level for a personal account. That's what I would put it.
Okay.
So if I'm putting stupid videos on that have been to gigs and stuff, you maybe get like 100 max. But because you're not sharing it anywhere, you're just hoping that the meta tags pick it up, or it might get picked up or something. Kind of like that. A bit better than that. Some of them will have like 1,000 views, but that's because a certain products came out. Like, oh, there's a new nuke bubblegum flavour, and for some reason loads of people want to find out what it tastes like. And by the way, anyone wants to know what something tastes like, put it in your mouth. Don't watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, it's
YouTube
like
doesn't
that's
help.
taking it too far.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like
not
it's
scratch and
too
sniff. You're not going to exactly like, unless that person is the best person at describing things. The only person that can do a food review channel is Morgan Freeman. Okay,
He can review anything and it would just
exactly. Let him do it.
But to be fair, most people, if you're articulate and you can make it engaging, it's not always about what the product or what you're actually talking about. It's
No.
you. It's you.
It's the person. Yeah. You're the product kind of thing.
Because they could be doing the most mundane thing, but they could, for some reason, I want to watch this guy. Doesn't matter what he's talking about.
There's cleaning ones now.
Clean.
Yeah. So there's a woman that she's been on This Morning a few times. I noticed. I don't know what her name is, but she does it on Instagram.
Mrs. Hinch.
I don't know what
Yes.
their name is.
Yeah.
Is that who you
He's
mean?
like, oh, that's Hinch. That is. Yeah, I've heard this.
So-
But I didn't know about this video.
So
thing.
she started on Instagram. So she'd
Right.
put her videos on Instagram being like,
I must have missed that bit.
I'm reviewing this product, and this is the type of product, this is how to do your taps, this is how to do this and that, and she's well put together, and she can articulate herself. So then, and it's, I don't, is it sexist? Is that? It's mostly housewives that are like, oh, I'm staying at home all day with the kid, I need these tips are great tips. So then every week they would be following her to get the tips and to get cleaning tips and stuff, and that's how she's got popular. And then I saw that she was on this morning, and I was like, so that's a thing now. So but then that I noticed, I don't know if you've ever noticed on social media when someone's account turns into a different type of account. So you're following them personally, and then suddenly it'll be like, I'm selling Juice Plus, for instance.
It suddenly turns into like a business account.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I noticed a couple of the females that I had on my follower list turned them into cleaning accounts. So then they were putting the tips up of cleaning to try and garner some sort of like, oh, she did it, so I can do it now.
Right.
I've noticed as I get older, women doing more, they'll put
Practical.
their name and then the baby's name. And now they're giving mum tips. It's all about vlogging with the baby and what they do day to day and stuff.
Yep.
It's all totally valid as careers
Useful.
and stuff.
Well,
and
it's
that's
also
fine.
useful to other people who are doing the same thing.
Exactly. But when you're following them just because you know them and then it turns, you kind of go, I didn't follow for this. But I don't unfollow people. So I've just got
You should.
I'm just following everything.
But that's on you, not on them.
It's how I get my ideas for things. I need to know
That
what
is
the top
true.
memes are, what's happening, what's just happened in the press.
Yeah,
Can
you
I,
need to
can
be
I,
exposed to
can I do
other
some
things
art?
outside of your realm.
Exactly. I don't want to be in a bubble. I never want to be in a bubble because then creatively you've got nowhere to go. You're just pinging off yourself.
Yeah, it's like sometimes with some of the guests we've had on here, like Melanie Baker. I saw her on all the local press, and I went, right, I'll have her on the podcast. Boom.
You.
Fast forward like 10 days later, she's sat in front of me.
Perfect.
And that's basically how this happened.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I started seeing your stuff on. Because I did follow. I was following you, and then I don't know how I've missed this.
It's
I don't know.
Well, it's the algorithm. This is the podcast that I did called Algorithms Podcast that we did 2 episodes of. Part of that was us explaining the algorithm or from what information you can get out there about algorithms and stuff.
Specifically from Instagram.
So specifically for Instagram, but also we're talking about Facebook and other things. So only certain amounts of your followers are ever going to see your content, and then obviously with more engagement they give it to more people. But then it gets a bit deeper than that, because even if they get shown it but they don't interact with it, it depends what they do.
Like if
after
they scroll,
that.
if they scroll,
If they come off the app, every little thing is analyzed. So if I look at your thing and I instantly come off the app, then they might be like, they'll have that as a thing so that they'll show less of your stuff, because they've noticed that a lot of users will come off the app when they look at your content.
Because probably because you're.
It might not even be, but because of that,
okay.
it could be because your content's that good that they want to go to your YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
they've left that platform to go and check you out.
But they have these set things. So if you do these things, the engagement and how the engagement works, and then you insert Insta stories into the mix, and it's like a whole other layer of, if you post your post normally in your feed, but then you put it into your stories, you're actually going to get more engagement on your story base than you would off a post, which it shouldn't work that way at all. But it does, because they want you to use Insta stories more, because they want that feature to work.
I've never used it yet. Never used it.
So you will get more engage. The way I don't like to pester folk, especially not comedians that I admire with my art. I don't want them to ever feel like I'm trying to get their attention. I'm doing the art and I hope I get their attention. There's a difference.
You tag them in the odd thing though.
I don't think tagging them is pestering them. I'm basically saying, this is what the content that I use. It's like a hashtag. If you use a hashtag correctly, you're going, this is a picture of a cup. Hashtag cup.
Yeah.
That's correct. I'm not going to put a picture of hashtag cup and then go hashtag fitfam, because that's incorrect. And that would probably be me going, fitfam's trending at the moment, so I'll just stick it on there to get more likes. I don't need to do that.
No.
I want
You need to be focused.
I want the quality of my product and my product to speak for itself. So when I put those tags, it's only to say,
It's gotta be appropriate.
This is from that podcast, and if they see it, they'll see it. It doesn't really matter, because then every day I do my stories. So then I'll put the post from the stories from my feed into the story as one story. So I don't do it I don't space it out. I just put it in as one story.
I've never really looked into it.
So
even.
so say if it's 3 posts, I put it in as a story. I'll tag them in it, but you won't see it. I've changed the color of the text so that it matches the background, so it's invisible, and so then I can tag them in it. Because they're tagged in it, it comes in as a DM, and so if they see it and they like it, they just have to press repost to my story because they're tagged in it. The only way you can repost to your story is if you're tagged in something. So most of my shares aren't actual shares on feeds. It's a comedian seeing my story and going, oh cool, reposting to their story, and then I'll get someone screenshotting it and going, oh look, Ryan Sickler's just put your art up on his thing, and then I'm like,
Cool.
right, cool. Like so that's another avenue to do it. So I have my feed, and then I've got my story, and then I've got my roundup. That's the way I structure it. So my feed are just my normal posts, and they'll come out usually due to what podcasts are and when, and also what month of the year it is, because Sober October, it's all hands on deck. Just
it's my
flinging
busy
out.
period.
Yeah, flinging memes everywhere. Okay, and then start of the year it's quite quiet because there's nothing like you've came off your Christmas art. I've only been doing this like 10 months, like as a hobby. So
We've already got into like a rhythm, a pattern.
if I want to do something, I'm going to do it efficiently. It's partly because of my illness. It's like if I'm going to do something, I need to A, be able to do it to my fullest because I might not be able to do it again, and B, it needs to be efficient so that I use the least amount of energy on that.
Yeah.
So I've got energy for other things. So with this, as soon as I started doing it, I go into that mode of, right, how can I do this efficiently? How can I streamline everything? It's not even from a perspective of that's the way you should do it. It's just that that's the only
works best for you.
was the only way I could do it. I couldn't do it willy-nilly and not plan things because I would end up just not posting or it wouldn't get successful. I went from having no followers to having 3,000 in a couple of months, and then I've went up to like 4,300 now. So it's been slow since then, but there's just Sober October was like a spike where it's just like everyone's wanting to see the memes and the art that go along with it. So you're just going to
especially if
grow.
one of them picks it up and reposts it and shares it and stuff like that.
You would think that, but it doesn't actually work that way.
Okay.
Sometimes you can get someone with I had someone repost my stuff the other day that had Dr. Drew.
Okay.
So his podcast, Dr. Drew After Dark, it's in YMH Studios, so your mum's house. It's part of that umbrella.
Okay, right, yeah.
So I did some art for one of his episodes. I DM some of the guys behind the scenes and stuff and speak to them normally and stuff. So they always like my stuff and retweet my stuff because they like that kind of stuff and they like my content. So I was expecting them to like just retweet it or something. He pulled it off, put it back on, wrote a nice thing being like, thanks Nathan, and not like a personal thing. Tweeted it out. He's got 2 million followers. So it's like,
shit,
I'm getting a lot of exposure there. 2 followers I got.
One per million.
whereas I got someone else that when Christie Baird posted my artwork, he had just under 1 million at the time when he posted it. I think organically, because you can actually, if you go into your I don't know what kind of account you have on Insta, whether it's a business or personal.
It's business now.
So through your insights, you can see how much growth, followers and stuff you've got from that one post.
Oh yeah.
So organically, the Christie Baird one got me like 200 new followers from having when he had like 800,000 followers or something. It got me 200 new followers. Yeah, someone that's got 2 million tweeted it out with my name and everything.
Drop in the ocean.
And I got 2 followers. So it doesn't necessarily always come down to that, which is good because it's mostly the content that drives it. It's got to be a good meme. It's got to be a good video. It's got to be good art.
You got to be consistent.
Because when they share it, even if they think it's just a funny thing, so they'll share it. It's got to have the strength to get everyone else to think it's funny as well. They might just think that's funny at the time and want to share it. You need to have a powerful product that will bring everyone else in after that. The exposure you do need
Should be like a start of a trickle.
Yeah,
Which
and then
becomes
and then it just sometimes you'll get people repost stuff months after as well.
Oh yeah. You never know when someone might come
And
across
you
something
get a
months
spike
later.
or something,
Yeah.
and you wonder
We do
why.
that. We get that with downloads as well.
Right.
So you can tell when someone's just discovered the podcast because like their download. Well, we've got nearly 55. I mean, this goes out 55 episodes.
Right.
They've just gone and downloaded all of them.
Right. Okay.
Not just the latest one, but all the way back to your first one.
And the way I listen to podcasts sometimes is I'll because I listen to so many. Sometimes I'll drop off for a week or two, and then get back to it and watch like 3 episodes in one. So that could be a thing as well, where someone hasn't been able to listen to podcasts for. I'll come back to it and go, all right, I'll see, type it in, and then see, oh, there's 10 episodes there, and then they'll just binge watch it.
Yeah.
And share it out there.
Everyone wants to binge everything now. Like whole
That's why I do so much
How
art.
long does like a TV series take to write and produce and make and edit, and then they put it out in 10 episodes, and someone will watch it in a night? Oh, I've watched
And
that now.
it's- yeah,
Done.
and it's
When's the
done.
next one?
That's why it's got to be quality.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
you've got to have that be able to hold the audience and keep them going.
But this is still all new. This is all a very
Well,
recent
exactly.
thing. Even what you're doing now as a potential job is completely new.
Yeah, but sometimes when I explain what I do, sometimes when I'm like,
Good luck with that.
I have this little hobby where I like to draw on my
Stop saying
phone.
little hobby as well. Stop playing it down.
Well, I like to, it is essentially it is just a hobby at the moment. Once I get myself set up, which I've got a timeline. So
Yeah.
August the 8th is when
He's actually got it down to a date.
yeah,
Wow.
is when I'm gonna start turning
it into a business.
it as a full business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously with me being on benefits as well, I have to.
That changes things,
There's
doesn't it?
there's rules around stuff like this. It is just a hobby, and to them it's just a hobby. But you've got to be able to do it consistently for it to be a job, anyways. So why would I? It's like if I wanted to suddenly become an Instagram model.
Yeah.
One photo doesn't mean you're an Instagram model. You have to build it up and then have a portfolio and have.
Yeah, it's your portfolio,
you
a
have
body
to,
of work.
You have to do the work and put the work in before you even become that thing to start your career
you have to
as
do
it.
before you have to build up to it.
Exactly. So this year up till August the 8th,
Will that be a year then?
it'll be a year since I started doing it properly, as in I started doing it weekly.
Right.
I did put stuff up before that, but it was stuff like my friends and funny little memes
and
and stuff.
inconsistently.
Yeah, it wasn't like a thing of I've got a schedule. So it'll be about a year, and so from that date, I will count it. I will start for it to be a job of mine and be the only thing that I do. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be it's fun because it's new and exciting. But as I say, like some people don't understand what it is. And they don't, and when they don't, it even got mentioned in wedding speeches at my wedding, where people were like, "Sometimes I see your art, and I don't really know what it is, but I know it's good." And I've had people come and tell me that it's good.
The other side of it is that they won't know what you're referencing in your
100%.
artwork.
And
so that's half. That's
and because I
the
put
majority
so
of
much,
it.
I put so much out, and some of it is very.
Then
It's
they're
hinged.
not in that world,
it's
so
hi-
it means nothing to them.
Even if you listen to Joe Rogan, I may draw something that is hinged on something that you didn't watch that episode,
yeah.
or you skipped over it and it didn't make it didn't burrow into your subconscious. So you might be like, oh, I know that's from Joe Rogan, but
I don't know what it
I
means.
don't know what it means.
Yeah.
So even the fans of the things could miss the type of thing I do.
Yeah,
that's why I do quite a lot, because it's hard to have a body of work and then people go, oh, well, could I just pick any of your drawings and know exactly what? No, you couldn't. No, you'd probably like 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
You'd go, I don't know what this is. I mean,
Unless
it's cool,
you happen to be
but-
subscribed to all the podcasts that I'm doing work
exactly.
for.
And you'd be surprised how many people are with that community.
In some same
That-
circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all listen to the same podcast.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Remind people
Same.
where they can find you.
So Instagram at drawnfromthemind, Twitter. I've changed my Twitter handle to DFT. I forgot it now. Drawn from the Mind.
I did see this.
DFTMNCB, because the handle letters are too long for Drawn from the Mind. So basically, it kept taking letters out of it. So I've changed it to something. But you can find my Twitter through my Instagram. Facebook at Drawn from the Mind. I have a YouTube, but I don't put anything. I put animations up, little animations that I do. And then we've got the Discord as well. So on any social media, if you search Drawn from the Mind or the Comedy Content Collective, you'll find me. You'll also find other people that do the photoshops, the memes and stuff like that.
Yeah, give some people some shout outs then.
So, well, there's Chase Lepard who helped us do it. He does Photoshop and he does some art as well. There's Photoshopped AF, so Photoshopped_AF on Instagram. There's Bleach Media Official on Instagram. There is Joseph Faria. He's got his own podcast called Something for Nothing. I do the art for that as well. Then there's Jenna Sunday on Instagram and Emma T Art on Instagram. Illustrated Skills, there's a lot of us. Illustrated Skills on Instagram. Magnum Meme, Memes of Reality, Ghostface Be the One. We're all on the Comedy Content Collective website.
That's cool.
So you just go on the website, click on artists, and then we're all on there listed. And through there you can find our socials and everything.
That's cool. That's cool. We'll let your voice recover.
Yes.
Singing Slipknot at 4 a.m. last night.
Yeah, no, I just need to lay off it. Like, I can't scream, but I want to, you know? So you just end up being like...
How long have we been going?
3 hours.
A 3-hour podcast is not exactly ideal after you've been doing
No, but I think
karaoke at 4 a.m.
I think it must have helped.
You tell yourself that. Cheers, man. It's been a pleasure.
No worries. Cheers, dude.